CCL. My name is Jules Gambit, and this is my co-host, Grandmaster Benjamin Bach. How are we doing today, Ben?
Doing well, Jules, and it's a pretty exciting day. Today are the semifinals of the Collegiate Chess League. I mean, it's do or die for these teams, and we have some pretty big matchups.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to be back. I was feeling a little under the weather last week, but I'm here, I'm ready, and we're going to see who is going to make it into the finals this week.
Absolutely, yeah. These two teams are absolutely stacked. They're here for a reason. So it's going to be a good match.
It's going to absolutely be a good match. And for you guys who aren't familiar with the match format, we're going to go over what has been happening every week. And if you've been falling asleep, here you go. All the boards play each other. So this is as it has always been. The time control is 5+2. First to 8.5 points wins the match, 1 point per win, half point per draw, and tie breaks if the score has tied. But this is the playoffs, so we know every team is going to be bringing their A game.
Absolutely, yeah. Some of these players, all these teams are actually at the European Championship, but we managed to find a way to make things work. Today is actually a rest day over there. So absolutely, every team is coming as strong as they can be. So it's we're going to see some high quality chess today.
We absolutely are, and this is going to be St. Louis University, so SLU versus University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. That's the first ones we're going to see. And then Yale University versus Clemson University. But we're going to take a little bit of a look at these playoff brackets that we have.
Yep, no, it's been a long season. We see that SLU, they came into the semifinals because they won the regular season, so they were already seated there. UTRGV absolutely crushed Athens in the quarters, winning 10.5, 1.5. Then on the bottom, we have the other semifinal that will be played tomorrow between Mizzou and Lviv. We see Lviv beat SRM last week, so a pretty big matchup there as well.
Absolutely. And you know, this is going to be super important. Each team wants to make it into the finals, and these are some of the strongest teams so far. So this is really what they've been waiting for all season, Ben.
Yep. Now, I mean, the regular season, of course, is important. You have to make it into the playoffs. But like I said, it's do or die now. If you lose a match, it's just all over. So, yeah, the stakes are pretty high. I mean, these programs really care about the Collegiate Chess League as well. There's definitely a bit of pressure on the players.
Absolutely. And do you have any predictions for this first match here?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a close one, but I'm going to give the edge to SLU because I feel like they're the slightly better team. But Jules, as we speak, we also have the player lineups. So I guess that gives us a better idea of what we're going to be watching today.
Let's take a look. So it looks like we're going to have GM Aryan Tari, GM Victor Gajic, GM Robby Kevlishvili, and GM Eamon. So that is such a stacked team from SLU. For UTRGV, we have GM Gleb Dudin, GM Sean Rodriguez Lemieux, GM Jose Cardozo, and I am Ekin Barris Ozanier. Okay, so basically GMs on every board except for one IM on UTRGV. What a stacked lineup.
Absolutely, yeah. These are the players that the teams are going to try to come up as strong as possible. Again, I'm going to give the slight edge to SLU. I feel like they're the higher rated team. They have all GMs on all four boards. UTRGV has an IM on board 4, and also the SLU GMs are slightly higher rated. But as we speak, Jules, we are off with Ozanier opening up with the Trompowsky on the left-hand side.
Okay, the Trompowsky. That is an opening nobody likes to see except if you're playing it. But seems like we're adequately prepared here because you have to be. This is such an important match for everyone. We also see that looks like a ready opening on the board too.
Yeah, bit of a mix between a Reti and an English, and very interesting play by Gajic, moving for knight f6 and knight c6. And now it transposes back into a normal English as he goes e7, e5. Gajic is a very creative player. And I think he's just trying to make Cardozo think from the very beginning, as he's already up 30 seconds on the clock.
Absolutely, and it does seem to be working here. And we see Robbie's game is getting off to a start as well. And yeah, that leaves just one more game.
Yeah, Ohanyan and Duden are going to start soon. We see on board 3, the brown board between Kevlishvili and Rodrigue Lemieux. We have a Caracan, very solid stuff, white having perhaps a slight advantage, with a little bit more space and the bishop pair, but black is just so extremely solid. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Jules, shall we dive into that game on the first board between Ozanier and Aryan Tari?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Right, so like we said, this started off as a Trompowsky with white bring the bishop out of pawn chain and then solidifying the center with d4, c3, and e3, kind of like a London, but with the bishop on h4 instead of on the usual f4 square. And knight e5 is always a bit of an annoying move to deal with. White is happy to strengthen that knight with the move f4, then you're really not happy to take. So maybe Chopra should take now. Take and then knight d7, because otherwise White's going to go f4, and then he can always recapture with the f-pawn.
Absolutely, and it seems like that knight is not going to be going anywhere if that happens, but he is deciding what to do, which is why the time is ticking down, and he's about 30 seconds down now.
Yep. We see Chopra there. He's pretty focused. To me, that looks like I think that those might be the dorm rooms I stayed in, like my first couple of years at SLU, but I'm not 100% sure. Ozenir, I wonder if he is at the European Championship. I guess he very well could be. I don't know. Does that look like a hotel room to you, Jules?
No, that looks like a dorm room to me, but I guess it could be a hotel room. It's just like the glass doors are very
Right.
dorm to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I guess it could be both, but yeah, we have some developments here. Aryan did indeed decide to trade on e5 and drop his knight back. So we have an interesting imbalance, like White has these double pawns, but that's also giving him more space. And queen e2, interesting move by Ozenir. Because his bishop on c8 is a little bit passive, so perhaps Chopper was aiming to trade it off with bishop a6, and now White is stopping that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the time is evening out as well, which is exactly what is wanted here. Knight seems to be in a little bit of a better place on c5.
Yep, but he's committing a lot of pawns to the light square, so that is blocking in the bishop a little bit. So let's see what Ozenir is going to do. I mean, maybe he can go for e4, but it's also going to give the Black's light square bishop a little bit more scope. f5, I feel like is going to be difficult to achieve, because Black can always take, and e5 gets very weak. But he goes for e4. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, and this is just a bit of a break on the pawn chain. Is this the idea?
Yeah, I think he wants to take on d5, and in case Black recaptures, that's going to give him more of a free hand on the king side, with let's say f5 and rook ae1. So now Chopra has a difficult decision to make. If he takes on e4, White's going to recapture with the knight, and you're not in time to, let's say, take and go bishop b7, because White's also threatening checkmate on h7. So after takes, you might have to allow a knight into d6 or something. So I feel like Ozenir has got pretty good chance here to get the initiative.
Yeah, and we'll have to see what he's going to do there. Do we want to go to bird's eye view and see what's happening in some of the other games?
Yeah, let's go back to the bird's eye view, because we have a lot of developments in the other games. We see, again, this game between Ozenir and Chopra is heating up. Between Cardoso and Gajik, we have an interesting imbalance, with White having a nice knight in the center, but Black having the bishop pair. So I feel like that game could go either way. Robbie having a nice advantage, it seems, on board number 3, the brown board, with the white pieces as the bishop pair, putting a lot of pressure on e6. And Ohanyan against Dudin, looking approximately even. But as we speak, Jules, I think we should go to that game between Robbie and Sean, as Robbie just sacrificed the exchange.
Oh, let's take a look here.
Right, so if we can pull up that game, we see that Robbie, he is now down the exchange. Black has a rook, Robbie has the bishops. But that bishop on e6 is pretty powerful, and he also has a few pawns for it. So let's see if we can pull up that game.
All right, and as we see, it looks like Sean is relaxing in bed right now. He looks like he might be in a hotel room.
He's definitely in a hotel room, if I had to take a guess. Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, so the European Championship is going on. I think also the American Continental Championship is going on. So that is my best guess as to where he is. I like Robbie's chances. He's up a minute on the clock. I feel like it's easier to play, even though the computer is giving his last move a question mark.
Yeah, and that just depends on whether you think it's easier to play lying down or standing up. But his position is looking pretty interesting here. It seems like the king is a bit airy, but perhaps your king is airy as well.
Right, and somebody asked me in the chat, do I really believe in SLU? Well, I just put all of my channel points on SLU, so yes, I am a believer. Yep, 250,000 points. Yep.
Wow.
On SLU.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of channel points. I mean, big believer in SLU here. UT Rio Grande, they're a very, very strong team, and I think on their best day, they definitely can take SLU, but it is going to be an uphill battle for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a close match. But yeah, I told you before the match that I believe SLU is a favorite, so I gotta put my points where my mouth is. Interesting stuff here in the meantime by Sean. He sacrificed a pawn and got bishop g7, but now his idea to go rook f6. This is bishop on e6 is pinned, and what do you want to do with pinned pieces? You want to put pressure on them, and I don't know, Robbie's all of a sudden finding himself in an annoying pin.
Yeah, that is not the pin you want to be in, which is probably why we see him moving his queen, trying to get out of it as quick as possible. But it still feels like Robbie should have something here with the king being so exposed, that pawn on g6, but perhaps there isn't anything.
Yeah, perhaps Sean is just the time to go rook f6, and there we go, attacking that bishop on e6. And he can also pick up this pawn, so I guess that is fine. The computer gave that an exclamation mark. I feel like that usually tells us that that was the best move and all the other moves would have given Robbie a significant advantage. Also, by the way, the time is evening out, so this one could really go either way.
It definitely could go either way, and Robbie is going to need to find something quick. I mean, this is a very, very dynamic position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what he's gonna do. I mean, I'm sure he's looking at moves like bishop f7, but I think black can take, white recaptures, and then black can take on g6, because after a check, you can always block with the bishop or the queen. So it doesn't seem like anything, there's nothing decisive for Robbie, and he's just gonna have to settle for an equal position.
Yeah, but we'll see. He's going to have to keep the time up and just hope for what he can get. But sometimes it's tough when you think you might have the win and you can make mistakes. That is kind of an interesting move there. I don't know. He is down exchange, so he has to be a little careful, but that bishop could be powerful unless, h takes g and then you can't take back because the bishop would be hanging. What are you going to do with that bishop?
Yeah, I think just h takes g6. The bishop is now under attack, and he's going to have to move back to b3. So I think he should have just gone bishop b3 in the first place, as now he's just losing the tempo. It still feels like white should be fine, but maybe Sean can use this small window of opportunity to create some chances. Maybe like queen e7 is a move, hitting the bishop, but I guess you go bishop f2. So I wonder why the computer exactly is so enthusiastic, because I feel like white should be fine, but perhaps there's something right now in the position.
Maybe. And it does seem like you're struggling to get the pieces out a little bit, but both kings are airy. Anything can happen, especially when they get low on time. Sean looks like he's about to take a nap. I mean, maybe that relaxation is helping him here because he does seem to be doing well in this position.
Right. Yeah, he goes queen e7, makes a lot of sense. He wants to go bishop to e3 and go after the white king. Yeah, I don't know. It looks tough for Robbie. Like maybe you're gonna have to go king g2, bishop e3. Although I guess that loses. You probably can trade in here. He gives a check right now. Right, so rook f8, I guess he wants to take here, but it all feels a bit dicey for Robbie. There's also bishop e3 there at the end, so I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't want to rob Robbie of his chances. We'll see what he's able to do here. Thank you. I appreciate you laughing. It's the pre-birthday laugh. I deserve it. And the rook comes in to block. I guess maybe you could... he doesn't want to get too greedy and take the pawn, but now you're just down in exchange. You do have the bishop pair, though, but what is that worth, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, he does have two pawns for the exchange, so I feel like especially if he can keep the bishop pair on the board, not a bishop for the rook, but the bishop pair, I think he's got pretty good chances to draw. So we'll see how this game will develop. By the way, that reminds me, everybody, it is Jules' birthday, so everybody say happy birthday, Jules,
Tomorrow.
in the chat. Oh, wait, tomorrow is your birthday. That's why, exactly, that's also one of the reasons why we're having our broadcast today.
Yes. We were gonna have it tomorrow on my birthday, but it is my pre-birthday, so I will be turning 24. I'm a little scared about what my roommates have in store for me because last I heard they were looking to kidnap me. So let's hope I'm still alive tomorrow, but here today I am at the CCL. I'm very safe, so all is well.
Okay, nice. All right, so this game is really heating up. Robbie throwing in a check. But Jules, I feel like we should go back to the bird's eye because there's a lot of developments in the other games. We see on board number 1, Chopper getting the advantage, and Ozenir down to 1 sec. Wait, Ozenir flagged? Or Oh no, no,
What?
he keeps moving.
Oh, lagged.
No, wait, he's good. He's good. It looked like he was gonna flag, but anyway, that game is heating up. Board number 2 looking even. Robbie's game looking even. But on board number 4, Duden is doing great with the black pieces. He also sacrificed an exchange, but he has 3 pawns to show for it.
Oh. Yeah, and those pawns
Mhm.
also, look a very spicy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. Now
Those
he
look
can
like some
start
nice
pushing those.
pawns.
Exactly. Yeah, he can start pushing those pawns on the queen side. So perhaps Jules, we can have a look at that game as well on board number 4 between Ohanyan and Duden, because I feel like that one is definitely looking the most interesting right now, with like having
All
knight
right,
and
let's take
3
a
pawns.
look.
All right, so he's got a lot of pawns. Maybe now e5, sending another pawn in motion, because at some point you would want to move the knight, but for now you can't really, because rook d7 is going to be too annoying. But I think just e5, followed by king e6, and then slowly but surely advance up the board.
Yeah, it's definitely possible we're gonna get something like this. And yeah, those pawns, they're also pass pawns. They're just looking so powerful. A lot of times
Mhm.
when you're down exchange, you don't want to go into endgame, but when you have this kind of compensation, I guess we're gonna see exactly how it works.
Right. Okay, so here I would say knight e4 for Duden, threatening knight c5 with the fork. And that's pretty. It goes king f6 instead. All right, now maybe Ohanyan can go rook g3. If he can get those rooks in and start giving a lot of checks, that will give him great drawing chances.
Absolutely. And knights can be pretty tricky in these endgames, especially when they have lots of outposts.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I think a missed opportunity there by Duden, as now the rooks will activate itself. In the meantime, by the way, we have the first result of the match. The game between Özdemir and Chopra ended in a draw. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like Duden is throwing away his advantage here. He's also getting lower on time. Check.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to
Okay.
move and he needs to move quickly, but when both players are low on time, anything can happen, anything can be hung, especially with those knights.
Yeah, rookie one was not it. Okay, he activates the rook this way, but it feels like maybe a check, and Duden can pick up another pawn. He goes a4 instead, which also looks good. Oh, knight c3. GG. Wait, what?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
and there
see
he
it.
goes.
Okay, and he sees it. A good old-fashioned fork, gentlemen and ladies. A good old-fashioned
Hmm.
fork, that's all you need, leaving only one game left.
Right, so UTRGV taking the lead 2-1, and they might extend their lead here if they win this game, but it's pretty tricky. Black might still be able to save the draw, or maybe I think it's too much to say that Black can win, but I feel like Black has a good chance to hold. Maybe Queen B1 now. Yep.
Yeah, and with the king airy, at least you can keep giving checks. Maybe you could pick up a pawn or two.
Well, the thing is, Black is defending everything, but yeah, I feel like if you can pick up the pawn on B4, it should be a pretty standard draw. Okay, this game ends in a draw, so we see UTRGV taking a 1-point lead out of the first round. Again, I feel like SLU's the
Whoa!
favorite, but UTRGV came to play.
What a beginning! And I see that not a lot of people bet their channel points on UTRGV, so the people who did must have been very interested in this result. So we see it's 1.5 to 2.5. Every single result a draw except for that board 4 with GM Eamon versus GM Gleb Duden. So some very interesting results here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we see UTRGV taking a slight lead, but still many more rounds to go, so SLU can definitely still come back. And it's only 1 point, right? So not too big of a deal, but this is, again, it's do or die. So it's definitely not the start they want, and maybe they might be feeling a bit nervous now.
Yeah, they have to keep it up. They have to bring the pressure, SLU, if they want to come home to the finals. I think also when you know you're a favorite, sometimes you get a little bit relaxed, but I mean, this is the moment that both teams have to bring everything.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. So we're getting ready for round number 2. We see Chopra opening up with one knight f3 on board number 1 against Cardoso. Cardoso already spending some time. I mean, he already spent 20 seconds, which is a bit surprising to me, but maybe the clock times were a little bit off. And we see Chopra going for the reti with g3, bishop g2. Like there's a lot of setups here. We see Gajic, former UTRGV player, against Özdemir. Gajic was the star player for SLU against Mizzou when he scored 4 out of 4. So we'll see if he can bring his A game in this match as well. He opens up with one e4. Then we have Duden against Kevlishvili, and we have Rodrigue Lemieux against Ohanyan. So let's see how Ohanyan will try to bounce back from that loss.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be absolutely essential for him here. But we're getting word that Joe bet on Texas, so he's feeling good right now. He's feeling good with his bets. But I don't know. I think this is going to be a very interesting match, and SLU might be sweating a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see how they will try to bounce back from the deficit of round one. But yeah, Joe, you don't have to be sorry, because for me to win channel points, I also need others to bet channel points. So I'm actually happy about that.
Look at the trash talk going on here, Joe. Are you just going to take
not
that?
Trash talk, but that's how channel points work, right? Like if I only bet on SLU and nobody bets on UTRGV, I can't win any points.
Okay, so for every winner, there has to be a loser, and he's just hoping you're the loser, Joe. Are you just going to take that, Joe? Are you just going to let Ben say these things? But
I'm not trash talking Joe. I mean, it could be anyone, but I'm just happy that someone is putting their points on UTRGV. But anyway, I mean, yeah, jokes aside, of course, Joe is our good friend. He's doing a great job as a CCL commissioner. And Jules, looking at these games, I mean, they all look pretty even so far.
Yeah, they do look pretty even so far. I don't know. I think a lot can happen. It just seems like a lot of the chess they're playing is very solid, very almost classical like chess, and maybe it's because they respect their opponents, and they know they're facing a lot of very strong opponents, so they're just trying to play their best chess, no tricks. Do you think that could be a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, again, these are all good players. They know they can't get away with like openings that are too silly. So we'll see some high-level chess. Perhaps we can just go to the first board between Chopra and Cardoso. I feel like Chopra should have a slight advantage. I mean, he can try to target that pawn on a5, perhaps now with the move bishop d2. But Cardoso also extremely solid with the black pieces, as I guess he's getting ready for knight c5, so perhaps that's why bishop e3 was played, stopping that move. This bishop on h5 is generally a good piece, but sometimes you also want to bring it back with, let's say, f6 and bishop f7, but it's hard to get that knight out of the way. So, yeah, pretty interesting game so far here.
Yeah, and it looks like both of the players are in their dorm rooms. I'm telling you, those mirrored doors really do scream dorm room to me. But it's a good technique to be where you're most comfortable, where your Wi-Fi is least likely to poop out too.
Absolutely. Yep, no, that's always the tricky thing if you play from a hotel. You see Aryan going g4, which is a bit of a double-edged sword. He's expanding on the king side. Maybe he is hoping to build up an attack there, but that could also leave some weak squares behind, especially the f4 square. But for now, it's difficult for black to access that square, and he goes for bishop takes f5. Interesting choice. Now Chopra's going to have to recapture the g or the e pawn, and I guess either way, that's going to give that knight on f6 a nice square to go to.
I mean, perhaps the g-pawn would allow you to take advantage of an open file, although with the bishop on f8, it looks pretty well protected.
Yeah, no, you make a good point that you could perhaps try to use that open, half-open g-file, but indeed, black has the bishop on f8, so it's going to be hard. And I guess also black will try to go for, let's say, knight h5 to f4, but again, if you take the e-pawn, there's going to be knight d5 to f4, so tough choice ahead here for Chopra.
Sambuca 2020 says, yeah, I'm believing in my UT home team. My daughter goes to UT. Well, it's good to have spirit. And, UT is doing great so far. It looks like they're going to have to keep it up here this round. And maybe even in this game, UT could get a point.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see how this one is going to develop. Chopra is the board number 1 for SLU, so he's expected to get some points on the scoreboard. He got a draw in the first round. I mean, that's fine. He's playing a strong team and he got the black pieces. But here with white, your teammates and the coaches are definitely hoping that you can get some points on the board. But it's not looking easy at all. And if we look at the board's eye view, Jules, we were talking about kingside pawn pushes, right, in the reti. And look at that game between Duden and Kevlishvili. Duden throwing all of his pawns forward on the king side. And I feel like Robbie hasn't really managed to get any counterplay yet. So that is looking like an interesting game for sure.
That is definitely looking like an interesting game. It's always really really informative to see, because when we throw our pawns at an opponent's king, a lot of times we're not sure where should we break. Should we push the F pawn? Should we
Hmm.
push the G pawn? And I think we're going to see it here.
Oh wait, okay. So yeah, so I think like queen. I was gonna say maybe queen h4 and rook g3. Well, wait, Jules. I think we have a blunder, perhaps on the game between Gajik and Ozenir. Perhaps we can pull up the bird's eye view as the evil boar all of a sudden jumped up. On board number 2 between Gajik and Ozenir, perhaps g4, g5, trapping that bishop on f6. I'm sure Gajik is looking at that, and he goes for it. But we have to go to that game. Bishop h5 was played. But yeah, now I just up a full piece, and I feel like, oh, he doesn't take. He goes 94 instead. But it feels like Black definitely does not have enough compensation here. This is big for the SLU team.
Wow. I mean, a piece down, what are you going to do? That is a little bit rough here. I mean, you do have a little bit of an airy king, but with all those pieces around it, it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to take advantage of that. Also, the king can kind of just tuck away on maybe the h file.
Yeah, you can move your king away. Also, knight g3 will often be a useful move, kicking that bishop away, getting rid of the pin. Wait, is that... It's a blunder apparently. Wait, maybe e5 and Black's getting real counterplay.
e5, and maybe you could take advantage of the pin. Is that the idea?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you take now, you open up the f file, and f3 is going to be hanging. That's not good. If you move your bishop, I guess there's going to be f5. There's still knight g3. Wait, why exactly is this bad? I mean, there's also like take and queen g5 stuff, hitting the rook, lining up for f4. I mean, Gajik just completely threw this away. He was up a piece, but it feels like now Ozenir is making a big comeback in this game.
Yeah, and I guess the pins would be too immense there. But that's a little bit tricky to see. But now he's taking his time because he knows he has something, and I don't know. I think the piece might be crawling its way back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes bishop h2. Now e takes d4. Black has a lot of compensation here. You cannot recapture with the rook on d4 because there will be f5. And if you move the knight, you can trade, and then the knight on f3 will be hanging. Gajik also getting low on time, so this one is really slipping away from him, as Ozenir has a big advantage on the clock. He also has a lot of compensation, so this would be a big setback for Gajik potentially.
It definitely could be, and he's going to need to really work hard and not let this point slip through, because it is possible that he can come back, but not if he's down 2 minutes on the clock.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I actually have a fun fact for you about Viktor Gajik, because
Do tell.
Right now he is in the apartment where I used to be in my senior year at SLU. So that is at this point 3 years ago. But he's in that exact apartment. He's actually Robbie's neighbor.
Really? Okay, so
Yeah.
all the chess people are neighbors with each other?
No, not necessarily, but they're definitely staying in one of the nicer apartments at SLU. But they happen to be neighbors. Like I said, I think like some of the others, they might be staying in the dorms, but they're staying in on-campus apartments.
Okay, so they can just knock if they need salt or butter or some chess tips. It's good to have a neighbor like that.
Absolutely. But in the meantime, it seems like things have gone in Victor's favor. Now, he gave the piece back, but the bishop on f3 is hanging. And if you move that bishop, White's going to take on c7. b6 also gets weak. So all of a sudden, even though White had to return the extra piece, it seems like he might be getting the advantage again.
It definitely could be possible. Would you want to go to bird's eye view? Because I think things are heating up in the Kevlishvili-Duden game, and it might be kind of interesting to see.
Things are really heating up over there between Duden and Kevlishvili. Duden's throwing everything forward, going g6, h6. We usually see this when there's opposite side castling, but Duden does it with castling on the same side. I don't know. If I would be Robbie, I would definitely be sweating here. It looks pretty difficult to deal with these pawns that are just marching at your king.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how on earth is the eval equal here? It looks like Robbie is getting stormed.
He is getting stormed for sure. Yeah, I don't know. And Robbie taking his time. I don't know what he should do. He goes knight f6. Now he's hit evil bar making a jump. If white takes knight f7, you're going to have to recapture with the king. I don't know. I mean, it looks scary, but I also don't know exactly how white should break through. Now, perhaps we might see Durin going for a thing. I also like moves like maybe bishop g5. Just bring in a piece, keeping all of the tension, and just let Robbie figure it out.
Like a good neighbor, Robbie is there. That was a good comment, Joe. Thank you for that. Yeah, well, Robbie might not be a good neighbor if he's not able to win this game, but he looks a little bit nervous. He looks a little nervous, but I guess with the king so airy, I don't know, anything can happen here. And I'm guessing Gleb is playing from a different time zone. Maybe you said the European Cup is a possibility.
I think he's at the European Championship. Yeah, that kind of looks like a hotel room to me. And it's also kind of dark there. So I think he's definitely there. He played bishop g5. The evil bar made a bit of a drop, but still keeping a lot of pressure on Robbie. And I feel like in a blitz game, this is just really hard to navigate for black.
Yeah, in a blitz game, a lot of these attacks, even if they're not the soundest, they can still be very, very difficult. But here it seems like it would be hard to defend, especially with 25 seconds on your clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Robbie goes rook d3, I think makes a lot of sense. He wants to trade off that rook on h3 to alleviate some of the pressure on his king. Let's see what Durin's going to do. He could maybe move the rook, or he's got a lot of options, but we're heading for a time scramble, Jules, as both players are around 25 seconds.
And that's always the most fun whenever there's a mutual time scramble. And I hear we have Elliot Shelliff in the chat, another CCL player. Happy to have y'all here. This looks like it could be pretty difficult, and Robbie's going to need to move quickly, too.
Yeah, Robbie's moving quickly, but Gleb is dropping down on time. He's getting down to 10 seconds. I feel like Robbie has good chances to turn this one around, as he has that edge on the clock.
Yeah, he definitely has the edge on the clock, and that can make a difference when it's 5 seconds, and Gleb just needs to move.
When knight d2, queen d3, Robbie bring in his piece. Now 4 seconds for Gleb. I guess just trade. Oh, he took like a king h8. Don't take that pawn. I think Robbie's going to take this one. I don't know how I feel about the queen trade, though.
Yeah, the queen trade is a little interesting. I mean, white does have the bishop pair, but now maybe black's king is feeling a little more secure. And what happened there, Ben?
In this game, well, Robbie still has the advantage. Gleb low on time. Let's see if Robbie... I think Robbie, he's going to win. b2 is terribly weak. Take on b2, and the b3 pawn is so strong.
Yeah, and that pawn might be coming. Not even the bishop pair can save you.
Knight c4 and b2. Gleb's going down. He almost flagged there. Knight d2 is GG, I think. Yeah. Take, check, b2. GG. Okay, Robbie getting the win here for SLU. Rook d1 and b2. All right, so that is exactly what SLU needed. Getting a win on the scoreboard. As SLU now is taking the lead.
Absolutely. Very important for SLU here. And there is a draw on board one, leaving just one more board. So this is going to be very important for UT Rio Grande if they want to even up the score in this round.
Yep, they have to win if they want to even up the score. But it feels like this should be a draw. King g5. Feels a bit tricky, but there's no tricks. By the way, black is threatening checkmate on one, so don't fall asleep. I feel like we might see a repetition here, but Ohanian says no. He goes king g7. Maybe... I don't know. It feels like it should just be a draw.
Those checkmates are actually very, very difficult to spot.
Check. I feel like Ohanian is going for the win here, but I mean, I don't think there is a win. King g7.
Okay, I cannot get over it every time I see Sean reclined, just looking like the absolute picture of peace. I can't.
He is unfazed. He's sitting there on his hotel bed, just chilling with like 10 seconds on his clock.
Service.
Right.
Calling the front desk for some extra toothpaste. He is very, very, very chill in here. But maybe that's the...
Does Ohanian... Right, does Ohanian know that they're ahead? Like, he keeps playing on, trying to find a way to win. It's really not there. White has a very clear perpetual. Just take the draw, as your team is also ahead. Draw is fine. Just take the draw. It's fine.
I mean,
Take the
sometimes
draw.
we get mad at them for taking the draw, so he might not
You know,
know,
after
you know?
takes, I mean, yeah, okay, the game ends in a draw. And yeah, that means that SLU keeps their lead. We saw a bit of a head shake there by Sean, as SLU is now taking the lead going into the second half of the match.
Absolutely. And SLU taking the lead after a 1-point deficit in the last round, but still super, super close. These teams seem pretty evenly matched today.
Absolutely, yeah. But the trend is definitely in SLU's favor. They were down a point after the first match, but you see here, they won round number 2 by 2 points, taking a 1-point lead going into round number 3. And Jules, here we have the pairings for round number 3. We see Chopra playing Sean, Victor playing Glabdurin, Robbie against Eugenier, and Ohanyan against Cardoso. So now the board pairings are getting closer and closer. Board 1 playing board 2, and board 3 playing board 4.
I mean, this is the round that UTRGV needs to strike back if they're going to strike back. So I wonder if we're going to see some aggressive chess. We've already been seeing some of these pawn pushes. Maybe they'll have a little fun this round.
Yeah, let's see how UTRGV will respond. We see that Sean opens up with 1c4 on the first board. Let's see what Chopra will do. And yeah, it would definitely be good for them to try to even it up, or of course even better is to take the lead. I mean, I'd say if, let's say this round ends in a tie, they still have a lot of chances, but they definitely don't want to let SLU expand their lead, because that might be hard to come back from.
Yeah, it definitely could be hard to come back from, especially if the lead gets any bigger. But SLU, meanwhile, is going to try to expand their lead and just make it so UTRGV doesn't stand a chance in the last round.
Yep, all right, so we have a pretty interesting game here between Sean and Aryan Chopra, which started off as a English, then Durin against Gajik. We see I think that's an old Indian with the bishop on e7 instead of, let's say, g6, bishop g7. On board number 3, we also see very interesting stuff, as Eugenier, I think, once again played one knight c6 on the first move. So a bit of a Peert's defense there, if you will. And Ohanyan against Cardoso is about to start.
Yeah, absolutely. The games are going to start. They're going to get spicy. And we have everything on the board here. All right, seems like which of the games do you predict is going to get the spiciest, Ben?
I guess we'll just have to wait and see for now. Let's see. Yeah, let's just stay in the bird's eye view for now. All right, so Ohanyan is going for... he brought in his queen very early with queen takes d4. He actually also played this against me at a Blitz tournament in St. Louis. I responded a little bit differently. I went g6 and bishop g7 without a6 and e6. In the game between Kevlishvili and Eugenier, we see that Eugenier gave up the bishop pair, but he's trying to strike back in the center now. I'm a little surprised by Gajik's opening choice. It feels a bit risky, White having the advantage there, as the evil bar is indicating. So I'm a little surprised that he did that, as SLU is having the lead.
Yeah, I mean, SLU taking the lead. He might be taking some risks, hoping to expand their lead as well going into this final round, or also just have a little bit of fun. Like we've said, they've been playing very solid chess, very classical-esque chess. Maybe it's time to bring in some of the fireworks.
Yep. And yeah, one game that really stands out to me, Jules, now is the game between Sean and Chopra. Chopra went for a very interesting exchange. So let's go to that game. It looked like a pretty standard symmetrical English, but in this position right here, Aryan made a very interesting decision. He gave up his dark square bishop, which is usually the soul and pride of Black's position, but for a good reason, because now he gave White double isolated pawns. A5 also gets weak. He followed up with queen c8, hitting the pawn on h2. White defended it with king h2. But after knight e5, this pawn on c4 is terribly weak. So Aryan is going to win a pawn. So it looks like it was definitely worth it for him to give up the bishop pair.
Am I going crazy, or is Aryan glitching a little bit?
Perhaps, but it looks pretty clear now. All right, so let's see, knight c4 here. Looks pretty logical to me. Moving the knight away, hitting the bishop. Yeah, he does glitch from time to time.
Yeah, I was wondering, is his programming going a little bit haywire? I've just been watching the show Pantheon. We've got it very obsessed with it in our household. I'm not sure if anyone else in chat has been watching it recently. but that's kind of what it reminded me of, some of the like uploaded intelligence. This is a very niche reference. I hope some people get it. But yeah, as we see here, I love it when we get to see their cameras because you really get to see their faces when they blunder, when they make mistakes. But also, sometimes they're just relaxed and mad chillin' like Sean.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised here by these moves by Aryan. I feel like he's really weakening the dark squares a little bit too much, and he already gave up the dark square bishop. Now queen b4, he's losing the pawn on e7, so I feel like now Sean is definitely better, and he can now take advantage of these dark squares around the black king. Queen h4 or queen g5, followed by bishop d4, f5. This looks super scary for black.
Oh yeah, absolutely. With those dark squares being weak when you push g6 and you don't have the backup of any dark squared bishop, it could be a little bit difficult. And how do you stop some sort of mate? Maybe the bishop can crawl into d4 or something. Yeah, I'm not sure how you protect everything. I'm surprised the evaluation isn't higher in Sean's favor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. I mean, I feel like Aryan has really misplayed this, and now white has a very easy position. Bishop d4, queen h6, f5. In a blitz game, I'd say white has great chances to win here, and that's exactly what UTRGV needs.
Yeah, that is exactly what they need here. I mean, they cannot sacrifice another point going into this final round. It would be very, very difficult for them to come back, so they just need to take everything they've got. And Sean, Sean does not seem worried at all.
Sean is chilling, just on his hotel bed, playing, I guess, with his laptop on his lap. And yeah, now he can try to launch a big attack with bishop d4, f5. It's not going to be easy at all for Chopra to deal with that.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to deal with that, but that's what happens when you give up your dark squared bishop. I mean, hey, what were you really expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I think when he did make that decision, it was a good one. But now, yeah, he's weakened the dark squares way too much, giving up the pawn e7. Also, giving up the d4 square, so white's bishop is nicely anchored in there. I don't know, this just looks like a disaster for black having to deal with this in a blitz game.
Should we take a look at bird's eye view to see how the rest of the boards are doing?
Absolutely, because we have a lot of developments on board number 4, Jules. Look at that. Ohanyan up a pawn with 2 connected passers on the queen side. So it looks like Rodrigue Lemieux might strike back for UTRGV, but Ohanyan has great chances to give SLU that lead again on board number 4.
I mean, that's exactly what they need to be doing here, and I don't know. That knight is looking pretty secure there. I'm wondering, what opening did this come out of? Perhaps it almost looks like some sort of
Sicilian.
Smith-Morra. Okay. It's a very interesting structure there. But yeah, I mean, Sean looks like he's doing great in board 1. It seems a little even on the purple board and the brown board, and board 3, SLU is striking back. So this could be a pretty even round. What happens if SLU comes into this last round up a point? How do you think that will influence it?
I don't think that will influence much. I mean, we'll see probably similar stuff as in this round. I mean, the players will still have to play normal chess. If you have the white pieces, you still just push for the win. Because it's only a 1-point lead, right? And yeah, so I don't think it would have a huge impact on the match. I'd say, let's say a team has a 2-point lead going into the final round. That's definitely where you'll see players taking more risks. But I feel like a 1-point lead, it's not too big of a deal. So the players will just probably still play normal chess.
Yeah, it's definitely in their best interest to just not go ham, do whatever they need to be doing, take advantage of the weaknesses, which they have been doing. Is there any games in particular that stand out to you right now, Ben?
Yeah, I think we should go to that game between Ohanyan and Cardoso, as Cardoso is in massive trouble. Not only does Ohanyan have a massive advantage on the board, he also has a massive advantage on the clock. Look at that. He's up more than 2 minutes. He's got that beautiful knight on d6, and now he's expanding on the queen side with b4, b5. You're probably going to have to go knight a5 to at least stop the pawns a little bit, but this looks like total domination for white.
Wow, yeah, that knight is beautiful, and perhaps it can become an outpost with e5 at some point. I mean, this just looks like a positional masterpiece. And I guess a time masterpiece as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No, Ohanyan doing great here. Maybe just h3. Make sure you never get background checkmated. Take knight g4 out of the position, and then let black think again. Because it looks really hard here for Cardoso. By the way, in the meantime, we have a result. Kevlishvili against Ozenier ended in a draw. So once again, SLU keeping a 1-point lead.
Yes, SLU keeping their lead. However, the game with Sean looks like he is going to take home the point for UTRGV. And then this game we're looking at over here looks like the chances are in SLU's favor. So perhaps where the point can expand or the gap can close would be in the purple board, the second board.
Yeah, I think we might be looking at a tie after this round. So perhaps we can pull up the bird's eye view real quick to give everyone a glimpse of what we're talking about. So we see that on the left-hand side, Sean Rodrigue-Lemieux is doing great with the white pieces. He's winning. He still needs to convert his position into a full point. Then on board number 2, Duden is doing great with the white piece against Gajic. He might be down a pawn, but that king on g8 is super weak because Gajic also gave up his dark square bishop, leaving a lot of weak squares behind. The good news for SLU is that Ohanyan is going to strike back on board number 4. So I think, Jules, we'll probably be looking at a tie going into the final round.
That would be very exciting. And I'm wondering, as you said, it shouldn't change the player's play at all, but SLU might get a little nervous because for you guys who don't know, SLU has been the reigning champions for a really long time before they lost their title last CCL, and they've been aiming to get it back, and they've really been playing like they're aiming to get it back too, where they've just been absolutely killing it.
Jules, we have to go to that game between Duden and Gajic, as Gajic is down to 3 seconds, and I think he's just losing as I think just queen takes f6 here for Duden. I don't see how you stop rook e7 and bishop e2. I think f6 was played as like, you have to make a move with 1 second, but I think after queen takes f6, it's just over. I don't see a defense.
And Duden could be taking home this point for UTRGV and tying up the score, evening it up. And you see Victor Gajic, he's shaking his head a little bit. He does not look happy with this position.
No, queen takes f6. I guess there's still rook f8 to hang on. Yeah, rook f8, only move. Only move. And he finds it. Okay, but just queen back somewhere. Or you can also take another pawn here. This has to be a win for Duden. I mean, he's got a winning position, way up in time, but he still needs to finish it off.
Yeah, he just needs to do it. He needs to finish it off, not to get nervous. And I always wonder if time zones will affect people's chess, but sometimes playing classical chess, I don't know, chat, do you play classical tournaments? But when you play classical tournaments, sometimes it helps your blitz, especially blitz like this 5+2, you stay sharp. So the people who are competing, maybe, I know they are a little bit overextended, but they could have the advantage of just feeling a little bit sharper.
Yeah, they're definitely not rusty. I mean, they're competing over the board now online. So, I mean, I think Duden, he's handling it well. It's also not too late in Romania, if I'm not mistaken. It is like 8 p.m. over there. And, okay, rook e8. Gajic trying to hold on, but it's looking tough. He's down 2 pawns in an endgame.
Is that where the European Championship is, in Romania?
Yep. In Romania, yep.
Yeah, my roommates are Romanian, and I've been learning a lot about the Romanian language, playing a lot of GeoGuessr recently. Sorry for the small interruption, but I just got excited there. But as we see, 3 seconds left for Victor Gajic, and Gleb is just keeping control.
Yeah, not the best conversion, perhaps. Now Gajic is able to bring his king in. Still, this should be a win for white. Up 2 pawns, but Duden also now getting low on time. It's not over yet.
Yeah, when both players get low on time, anything can happen. Blunders can happen. This is why you want to try to keep up on the clock. But if you have control, you also want to make sure not to make, a little bit of a bad move. Although it seems like Duden is keeping control. He has 5 seconds on the board, but he does need to move. Flags do happen, Ben.
Yeah, this is not so easy. Wait, he's got to move. He moves with 0.9 seconds. No, but now you can trade in bishop a5. Hanging on to the bishop c3 and e5. I think now it should be a pretty clear-cut win for Duden, as he can create a second passer, potentially, on the king side. Now king h4 to g5 should be a win.
Should be a win. I mean, he does need to pull it off because it looks like SLU is going to get a point in that last board. And this is what it needs to have everything all evened off for the last round. And as Joe pointed out, SLU has made the finals pretty much 4 seasons in a row, so losing here would be a historical loss for them. That would be huge. SLU needs to bring their A game if they want to continue on to the finals.
All right. I mean, Okay, I think just or that is fine as well. At some point you go f6, then your king is free to move. I'd say king e5 here. And Duden should be on his way to a victory, which will give us an even score going into the final round. King d6, yeah, this should just be GG.
Wow, an even score going into the final round. That was not what we expected so far. And I think both Joe and Ben's channel points are on the line here. So we see it. It is going to be 6-6 St. Louis UTRGV. And you see Duden's face. He's just like, all right, yeah, good. All in a day's work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure he's happy he won the game, but there's still one more round to go, so it's too early to be happy. And we see it here, Jules, 6-6 going into the final round. This is coming down to the wire, and yeah, the stakes are high. The championship might be on the line. If you lose, you're out. So we'll see what these players will bring in the final round. It's also about the nerves now.
Thank you so much, Chessburger TV, for the raid. Appreciate you. Welcome in, Raiders. We are at the last round of St. Louis versus UTRGV. And this is going to be a really important match for both sides. UTRGV has a chance to make it into the finals. They're a bit of an underdog here, and they've completely evened up the score. But St. Louis is going to fight back, Ben.
Yep. I mean, if I look at the scorecard, one thing that stands out to me is that Aryan Tari, the board one of SLU, is only 1 point. I mean, he really needs to get more points on the scoreboard. We'll see if he can do so in the last round. And he's up against Gleb Duden, who scored some important wins for UTRGV. So we're getting ready, Jules. It's going to be interesting to see what these players will bring in the final round.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I wonder if they're going to adjust their style a little bit, get a little more aggressive, or just keep playing some good chess, and maybe we'll even get a tiebreak.
Yeah, who knows? I think they'll just stick to their styles. I mean, especially in Blitz, it's going to be hard to switch it up, right? You just make the moves that come to mind. You shouldn't overthink things, as then you'll spend way too much time. But yeah, we see everyone is playing their corresponding board. Board 1 playing board 2, board 2 playing... Wait, board 1 playing board 1, board 2 playing board 2, etc., etc. So I'm still going to give the slight edge to SLU because they are the higher rated team. And Jules, as we speak, Chopra opens up once again with the red team.
And the losing team will play for third place next week. There's also cash prizes. Both have $500 for fourth. Winning gets them at least $2,500 for second, and first place is $5,000. So there's money on the line. You know, there's team parties on the line, team pride. You know, I've heard rumors that some of the coaches make their players run laps if they don't win. So, and if those rumors are false, then they should start doing that. There should be like mandatory losing laps. What do you think, Ben?
I don't really see that happening, but you know, we can keep that around as a rumor. But you know, the winning team usually gets a nice lunch, some good food, paid for by the coach. So that was the case when I was a student at SLU. The coach would take us out to some nice lunch with some good food.
I guess it's what is better, incentive, the carrot or the stick? You never know. You never know. I do suggest the running. By the way, SLU, UTRGV, if you need a new coach and you want someone who will make your player run laps, you know, we're hiring here. So always some good strategies there. But the games are off to a start. We're going to see what's going to happen. It looks like we're seeing a lot of the same play that we have seen before here. But all of the players know that every single half point matters in this round. They could be the difference between their team winning and losing.
Yep. And Jules, on that board 1 between Chopra and Duden. Duden just played bishop to b7, which the computer is giving a question mark. Perhaps we can go to that game. Because I think Chopra, maybe he can just take a pawn there on b5. I guess if white has a chance to solidify with a4, you're just not getting it back. So Duden is going to have to play a4 himself. But that's the only reason I can think of as to why bishop b7 was giving a question mark. And I guess after a4, maybe knight b1 to go knight c3 and try to firmly hang on to that pawn. But b3, that's not it.
And maybe he doesn't see it either.
I mean, he saw the hanging pawn. Probably thought it was not good.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you trust your opponents a lot. I've had that happen even in classical where someone will hang something and it'll be like, wait, no, they have some sort of tactic or trick. Happens a lot in Blitz as well, where no one will take a piece. We see that at some of the lower divisions that we end up commentating here. But yeah, this is a slightly lower stakes. Or it seems like, and the bishop is probably going to get fianchettoed on b2, yeah?
Perhaps, but now he's really threatening to take on b5. As I mean, a4 you can take that as well. But yeah, I mean there's definitely I definitely see that happening as well. That maybe somebody hangs something or they sacrifice it, and then the other player's like, well, I feel like he's got to have something, right? But I always tell players like if there's something you can take and you don't see why you shouldn't take, you should take, right? I'm of the greedy school of chess, and I think I heard this saying, it's like greedy player, good player. So, I mean, again, if there's something you can take and you don't see why not, take it.
Yeah, if you can take it, might as well take it. I guess that's what they say. But sometimes being greedy does work against you. So we'll still have to see there. Someone predicted Sambuca's predicted 4 draws. Predicting 4 draws. That would be absolutely hilarious, and I doubt it would happen. But the tiebreaks would be immense. Like Gleb Duden's camera is really really giving us a lot of life here. And this is proof, everybody, that grandmasters are actually robots. We've been wondering this for a while, but they are actually, in fact, robots. And here's your proof, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, so this game is pretty interesting. I mean, almost all of the pieces on the board. We see the evil bar swinging back and forth. All right, perhaps the computer wants to take on d5 at some point. That's the only thing I can imagine as to why it's giving white the advantage. Well, I feel like black's doing fine after bishop takes or knight takes. He goes h4 instead, a typical move in the King's Indian attack, setting up ideas of knight g5. Not right now, but potentially. Queen c2 instead. The computer doesn't seem to like that, but I don't necessarily see why it would be bad.
And perhaps he doesn't as well. Do you think it would intimidate you to see your opponent glitching out a little bit like that? Maybe even over the board?
Nah, not really. But yeah, as we speak, Jules, all the games are underway, so perhaps let's go back to the bird's eye view to give everyone an overview of what we are looking at. So I'd say this game right here between Chopra and Duden is looking approximately even. So we can pull up the bird's eye view. We see that the other games are looking pretty even as well. So let's see if we can pull that up.
Yeah, let's take a look. We're gonna check out bird's eye view, see everything that is happening here, and it looks like all the boards are pretty even. I think everyone's bringing their A game this round.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the game between Gajic and Jean-Rodrigue Lemieux is looking pretty even on board number 2, the purple board. Then on board number 3, things looking pretty even between Cardoso and Kevlishvili. Between Özdemir and Ohanyan, it's looking pretty even. The game that has the most life is definitely the game between Chopra and Duden. Only one trade took place there. So I think it's not 4 draws is not unlikely, but I'd say it's definitely not unlikely that there will be draws on the bottom 3 boards, and the game on board 1 could decide everything.
Okay, there's not going to be 4 draws. I do not think we'll get 4 draws. We're not going to get some GM draws here. I mean, maybe we should have a sub-prediction for this one, because there is just no way. And if that was the case, I think we need to hire Sambuca to do all of our predictions, because that's kind of a crazy one there. But it does seem like a lot of players are evenly matched, which is, I mean, probably what you're seeing here. It does seem like we have a lot of pretty even matchups.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see 4 draws happening. But again, I feel like that game on board 1 could decide the match. I mean, the other games are looking pretty even. You know, already a lot of trades took place, very symmetrical structures. And on board 1, we see Duden taking the advantage. And now he's expanded in the center with d5, d4. So let's perhaps go back to that game, as now he has ideas. Let's go back to the game between Chopra and Duden. I think this game right here is going to be the match decider. Now he has ideas of maybe knight a4 to c3. He goes bishop f8 first. I like black's chances here.
Yeah, it's definitely... Oh my god, I laugh at him glitched out every single time. Sorry. It's just a very funny sight. But the robot GM is really pushing here. And with the black pieces as well, I mean, he's come to win for UTRGV.
Yeah, no, Duden doing a good job for his team. He's 2 out of 3 against strong GMs, and he might get another point here. Knight a4, excellent move. He's aiming for that c3 square. I feel like Chopper probably has to trade again, but e5 is weak. Although the question is, after takes, because black can recapture the queen, that's going to hang the a5 pawn. You probably recapture with the knight, though.
It's definitely a possibility there, and I don't know. The time is pretty even so far, but Aryan is taking his time trying to figure out a good way out of it. I feel like these positions are always most difficult. It's not the ones where you're completely lost because you can kind of just throw stuff against the wall and hope something sticks. But it's those positions where you just know you're a little bit crunched and you're trying to find a good way out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Chopra now also getting down on time. He's down to 1 minute and 10 seconds, while Duden almost has 2 minutes. I'm starting to like Duden's chances more and more.
Yeah, it's definitely possible that Duden could take home this point for UTRGV, and that would be absolutely vital for the team from Texas. I know they have some fans in chat. Also vital for Joe's points there, but I don't know. Duden is going to have to pull everything together, hold the position, but he seems to be doing great right now.
Queen takes a2. Looks like a good pawn grab. It's going to be hard to deal with that bishop because the bishop's going to have to slide back to c1. The U-bar is way in Duden's favor now, but I wonder exactly why. It's giving him a massive advantage, but doesn't look too bad for white.
Yeah, I'm wondering maybe just the pawn structure.
Yeah, but he's going to have to figure something out here because if he doesn't find something, maybe Chopra can hang on somehow.
It's possible, and that's really what he's taking his time thinking about, and the time is evening up here. It looks like a nice kind of place for the knight, and the knight on e4 doesn't have a lot of defenders, yeah?
Wait, knight fd2 played, queen takes a2 apparently was not it, but still keeping a ton of pressure on Chopra, who's also down to 35 seconds. I mean, Duden might... Oh, knight takes e3, queen takes d2, and then you're in this pin. I mean, I don't see Chopra holding this. This looks very difficult to deal with.
Especially with 20 seconds on his clock, and look at his face. He looks absolutely just like locked in the zone, but very, very concerned on how to hold this, which perhaps he should be.
Yeah, I mean, now e5 is also starting to hang, although I guess if you take right now, there's bishop takes c5. Maybe take here. It feels like there's got to be something for Duden. He's got a minute on his clock to figure it out. And Jules, as we speak, things are looking pretty good for UTRGV. I mean, they're winning on board number 1. On board number 2, they're also having an extra pawn. They're the only side that can win. Perhaps Robbie. Robbie is the only hope I can see for SLU to get a point back because board 4 is about to be a draw. So let's see. Again, quick. Sorry, go ahead.
It might not be enough if Duden wins, if Lemieux wins, and if that board 4 is a draw, which just has come in, I don't know. Even Robbie winning would not be enough. So it seems like one of the boards, 1 or 2, is going to have to either hold a draw or hold on to a point.
Yep. No. Yeah, so things are looking good for UTRGV. Let's go back to the game between Chopra and Duden, as Duden now also is getting super low on time. He's getting down to 9 seconds. He needs to move. It's 6 seconds. He needs to move. Wait, I think he's throwing his advantage. Wait, this might be a huge comeback for SLU. Bishop c5. Yeah, Chopra coming back. He might save a draw. Maybe he can even win, because 1 second for Duden, he might take the draw. Let's go to that game between Chopra and Duden.
This is going to be monumental for SLU. And you see Duden getting a little bit stressed out. He knows that he had the win, but instead he settles for a draw, which is huge. If Robbie is able to win his game, then that could bring SLU into tie breaks. And look at Duden's face.
Yeah, he is definitely disappointed with that result. But let's go to the other games. Let's go to the game between Gajic and Rodrigue Lemieux. Sean up a pawn here. He probably... Oh, because Robbie won. SLU having a 1-point lead. Sean needs to win this to take the match to overtime. Can he do it?
And he's just a chill guy there on his bed. I mean, this is exactly what he needs to do, but he does not know he needs the win. Although when you're in a position like this, every single point counts, and he's got to know that. So I don't know. With 30 seconds against 10 seconds, it's possible he could take this home.
Yeah. All right. 5 seconds for Gajic. He perhaps needs to double up on the 7 rank. Okay, h takes g5, only move. Rook c7, aiming for this, but maybe what should Sean do? Oh, what a move if you take rook h2, grabbing another pawn. Wow, I think that's it. Yeah, we're going to overtime.
And are we going to overtime? We are, in fact, going to overtime because it's completely tied up here, which means we're going to get a new format that we're going to go over. I believe it is 3+2, so completely new format. And you just know that everybody is just on the ropes from that round, Ben.
Yeah, no, the players must be feeling the nerves right now. It's coming down to the wire, Jules. I mean, I thought this one, it was looking really good for UTRGV, but Gleb Duden let it slip with seconds on his clock. It was a huge hold for Chopra.
That was a huge hold and was absolutely necessary for SLU, and now they're going into playoffs. And we rarely see playoffs, let alone here in such an important match.
Yep. All right, so we see here St. Louis and UTRGV tied 8-8. Robbie is doing a good job for SLU, scoring 3 out of 4 on UTRGV. We see Sean, the star player, 3.5. They're struggling a little bit on the bottom boards at UTRGV, so perhaps that's where SLU will be looking to strike. I feel like if SLU's board 1 and 2 can step it up a little bit, they still should be able to take this match home.
Absolutely, but it came very, very close, and UTRGV, they might have the momentum with them right now. Duden cannot be happy with that last round, though.
Yeah, no, that might definitely throw him off. So we'll see here. Like you said, the format's going to change a little bit. We'll have 3+2 now, so the games are going to speed up. But the pairings are the exact same. However, they are flipped, right? So now we see Duden playing with white, Chopper with black, Sean with white, Victor with black, and SLU having the white pieces on the bottom 3 boards. Again, I think they'll be looking to strike there. And I feel like as long as they can, not just... If they do well on the top 2 boards, they have a good chance of winning the match.
I mean, it's SLU versus UTRGV, but more importantly, it is Joe versus Ben, who's going to win the channel points escapades here. And we see already, you might notice that the clock is less than it was before, and we're going to see maybe a little bit different play because of the different time format. What do you think?
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to play faster. Chopra sticking to his type of chess, though, as he is playing the King's Indian. He was also kind of trying to do that with the white pieces, right? Playing the reti. And he goes for this interesting move, knight e4. Okay, so we also have the game between Sean and Gajic, and English right there. Kevlishvili against Cardoso is about to start. And then we also have Ohanyan against Özdemir. Jules, did you make a prediction? Did you bet any channel points? What do you think?
I did not make a prediction. I didn't see it in time, and also I didn't want to jinx any of the teams because I'm ultimately terrible at predictions. But here, I don't know. I think the momentum is in favor for UTRGV, but SLU is going to be super hungry. They want to get their title back, and if they lose this match, which could end all right here, then, I mean, they are still fighting for third, but that would be their season. It would be over.
Yep. Yeah, so the pressure is on. Joe is also saying in the chat at least $2,000 on the line. And yeah, I mean, since these teams have like 4 or 5 players, that's at least like, I don't know, $400 or $500 per player. That's definitely something. So there's definitely quite a lot at stake here. Also, university prestige. So we'll see how the players will deal with the pressure. So, okay, let's do a quick rundown. So I feel like Duden against Chopra, approximately even. Then we have Sean against Gajic, approximately even. I feel like Robbie is having a nice advantage on board number 3, going for the central pawn push with e4, e5. Ohanyan against Özdemir, still looking pretty even as well. But I'm going to give the slight edge to SLU.
I wonder if this is being said out of bias. For you guys who don't know, Ben used to be a SLU team member. So how do you think the team has changed since you retired from SLU?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a pretty tough day when I left. I mean, tears were shed. It was a tough day, but they had to get themselves together. They didn't win last season, but I think they have a good chance of coming back this season. But this match right here is super important because if they lose, it's all over, right? But I feel like they have a good chance of taking it home in the tiebreak.
It's definitely possible. And I know we also have some UTRGV fans in the chat. If you're a fan of UTRGV, let us know in the chat as well. They're a bit of the underdogs here, but still such a strong team. They've routinely done great in the season. So they definitely have their chances too if they're able to make it through past SLU.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to see. SLU dominated the regular season, right? They won all of their matches, 7 out of 7. UTRGV barely made it in. They were 2-5, 2 wins, 5 losses, but they made it in, and that's all that matters. Is in the playoffs, all the teams reset, and again, it's just do or die. If you lose, it's all over. So, looking at these games, Jules, one game that stands out to me is the game between Robbie and Cardoso, as I feel like Robbie has a nice advantage there on board number 3.
Let's take a look.
Right, so we see an interesting imbalance. If we can go to the game between Robbie and Cardoso, Black has the bishop here, but these bishops aren't the most active. Robbie, on the other hand, has more space in the center. He goes rook e2, aiming to go rook e1. And I would suppose that at some point, Cardoso is probably going to play f5, as otherwise the pressure will be a bit too much. That might give Robbie a bit more of a free hand to attack on the king side with moves like h4, h5.
I would assume, based on the structure, that this would come out of a French, but it looks to come out of some sort of modern or like Pierce-esque opening. So, but It does look very French to me.
Well, I'd say it looks more Caracan-ish because of the pawn on e7, right? If it was a French, the pawn would be an e6. But you're right, this came out of a modern or Pierce defense. We see f6, f5, the move we predicted to happen eventually. Now let's see how Robbie will try to attack. He goes knight g5. I think it makes a lot of sense to try to get these knights off the board. And then maybe after, let's say black goes e6, you drop the queen back, bishop f4, and slowly but surely try to nibble away at the black king side. Again, these bishops aren't the most active. Also, if you have the chance, you would love to go knight e4 to c5, but I'm sure black will always stop it with b7, b6.
Yeah, if you have the chance, that makes a lot of sense there. And I don't know. This is going to be a very crucial match as well between UTRGV and Robby Kevlishvili. I'm very surprised to see that he's their board 3 as well. I believe he's still their team captain, but it just shows what a strong team both of these colleges have.
Yep. No, I think Robbie, he's the board number 3 because he's the 3rd highest rated in classical. I think he has the highest blitz rating of the team. But, he part of the reason why he's the captain is also because he's been on the team for such a long time, right? He joined SLU in 2019. He saw me as a captain, took the example, and now he's leading the SLU team. So, that's also the team experience is part of who gets captainship.
Yeah, we've talked with Robbie before in some of these post-game interviews, and he said he had big shoes to fill. And I think he genuinely means it can be a little bit of pressure watching your ex-team captain be commentating over you, but he seems to be handling it well, and this game could be going his way.
Yep. No, I think he's got good chances. Also, he's got a slight lead on the clock. But Jules, there are some massive developments on some of the other boards. So let's go to the bird's eye view, as especially that game between Sean and Gajic is looking great for Gajic. He's about to be up a pawn, nice bishop pair. There I feel like SLU has a chance to get a crucial point in the match.
Yeah, that is where SLU could get their point. Let's take a look. It seems like a very interesting game as well. Also that first game between Chopra and Duden is very, very spicy. Just so much interesting play. And wow, do we see 2 Gazics right now?
Gajic is glitching. Sean is chilling. That's what's going on. Wait. Oh, e4. That might have been missed by Gajic. Uh-oh, he might be messing this one up, but 8 seconds on the clock. I feel like Sean's fighting back.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Sean is mad chillin'. He just has not had a single facial expression this entire tournament. Whether he wins or lose, he always kind of looks the same. Like he's just mad chillin'.
Yeah, Victor's blown it. Now it's just equal. Still, he needs to be careful as he's down on time, but this should be a draw. All right, so we'll of course keep an eye out on this game, but perhaps we should go back. Oh, queen takes f7, take the pawn. Wait, Sean might win this one. He can create 2 passes on the king side. Wait, I think Sean might have a technical win here. That's a big, big throw by Victor.
That could be huge for UTRGV here if Sean's able to take home the win.
think this... Okay, now it's important not to go e5 because black can take and then walk back into the corner, and then you have the wrong color bishop. So what Sean is doing is first going to go king h5 perhaps, and then e5. Because then after the trade he can take here. Or I think at some point... Wait. Sean is winning technically speaking, but he still needs to finish it off.
I mean, it doesn't look super easy to finish it off here. As you said, you can't allow them to sacrifice the bishop for 2 pawns because you're in time to stop the h-pawn. But how do you get around that?
Yeah, I think just walk the king up to g4 and then play I think if you go king to g4 and then e5, then you are winning as black. Let's say the king is on g4, right? White goes... Okay. By the way, in the meantime, wait. Jules, we have a huge development. Chopra won his game. So SLU takes the lead. I mean, Sean, wait, what is he doing? Bishop c1? e5, king f5. Yeah, I think he's throwing it. All right, that's huge.
He's going to get a GM endgame lesson there if he is able to throw it. But yeah, you see it in his face. The king gets in to block in time. And SLU, yeah, they were able to win the first board and their last board. So it's necessary for Rio Grande to be able to win these last 2 boards. And it looks like Sean's not going to be able.
Yeah, but it's just not going to happen. I mean, this is already a dead draw. Black's going to take here. You can always stop this pawn with bishop a3. And Jules, we're getting word that Duden flagged in a completely winning position. So it looks like it's going to be SLU. I mean... UTRGV is not going to get 2 wins here, and there we see a draw. It's all over.
Oh, gosh. And Duden, and that's what we said, when sometimes it's very difficult if you've had a last final round to come back from it just psychologically. And Duden flagged in a winning position. What a difficult journey for him there.
Yep. Here, Robbie is still playing Cardoso. I mean, I'm sure as this game is going on, he doesn't know the result. So he might be thinking like, oh no, I'm throwing it for my team. But fortunately for Robbie, it's not going to matter. The match is already in the pocket.
But we get to see him a little stressed out. Although maybe he can come back from this, especially with 10 seconds to 6 seconds.
Okay, rook takes g2, take, and h3. King back. King up, h3. Wait, how is black not just winning here? I don't see... You're not just queening this pawn, to be honest. Or checking here. Wow. King up. And if you go here, you're again blocking. Look at this. And if check here... Oh, wait, then queen. Wait, Cardoso's throwing, but... Oh, that's a nice one.
And Robbie, I also wonder if Robbie's going to be very excited that he's managing to hold, and then, he might even win.
Yeah, no, it looks like he's going to win here. Still not easy with 1 second on the clock. Or, sorry, Cardoso's having 1 second, but wait, I think he's a pawn. 36 though.
Oh, he's going to feel a little less stressed out when he sees the results that SLU has already won, but you can tell this has been kind of a back and forth on his nerves here.
Yeah. All right, I think as soon as this game ends in a draw, Robbie, he'll have a bit of a reaction, and then he'll look at the score, and then he'll be like, yes, we won. Like, look, there's the reaction. We see right there, head shake, and now... Wait, he's going to look? And then like, we won anyway.
Yeah, you see the face. Oh my god! Wait, that was such a sweet
the
expression.
The head is like, yeah, nice. Yeah.
You saw it in his eyes too.
Yeah.
The way he looked at that, that was so funny.
Yep. All right, but yeah, you can't beat the box. SLU wins anyway. 11-9. This match went to overtime, but they took it home, and it was a big turnaround with Gleb Duden apparently flagging in a completely winning position.
And Rio Grande was so close. They were just seconds away from taking it home before it went into the overtime. But here SLU managed to come ahead, and that will bring them in for the finals, where they could perhaps get the title back of CCL champion.
Yeah. So yeah, the other semifinal will be played tomorrow between Mizzou and Lviv. That's also going to be a big one. But yeah, St. Louis, again, making it into the final the 5th season in a row. I mean, they are a chess powerhouse, and they're proving it once again.
Yeah, they're absolutely proving it. I think it's going to be really, really interesting here. We're gonna check out a little bit of our predictions for the finals here. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think Mizzou will be making it to the final as well, and then it's gonna be a close one. But I'm gonna give the slight edge to SLU. But they're gonna have to play better than they did today.
Yeah, this was a really close call for SLU. Absolute great match for UT Rio Grande. Up next, we're going to see Yale versus Clemson, so stick around to learn more about our incredible sponsor, Susquehanna, and the culture they've built around solving puzzles on and off the chessboard. We'll be right back with more CCL after this.
My name is Kelly Henry, and I work in recruiting at SIG. Our founders' love for the quantitative side of strategy games is still the foundation of our business, our culture, and our education today. We have board game nights, competitive chess teams, and puzzles placed all around the building. We have grandmasters, we have World Series bracelet holders, but we also have people who play games just for fun. I think one of the things that makes SIG really unique is that you can be a student and a teacher. There's always a game to learn, and there's always someone who wants to teach you.
I'm Michael Hines, and I'm a quant here at SIG. I was a graduate student at UC Berkeley, and I got this email from one of the recruiters at SIG about a brain teaser battle. The brain teaser battle was really fun. I also saw that this kind of puzzle culture was really integral in SIG and something that they cared about a lot, and was also really important to how they thought about problems, which I thought was really cool and made me want to pursue an internship at SIG.
We added escape rooms to our interview process as a way for us to see how candidates solve quantitative problems while working together collaboratively. It's important for us to see how people work together collaboratively on these challenging problems because it emulates the trading environment. It's what they're going to do on a day-to-day basis if they do end up joining SIG, no matter what role they're in. It's something that we found also gives the candidates an opportunity to feel what it would be like to actually work here.
And it goes like that.
I think the escape interview is indicative of all the puzzles we have to solve here. Not only because you're working together as a team, not only because you're leveraging the quantitative skills you need to be successful, but also because the open-endedness of trading and the open-endedness of financial markets suits itself reasonably well to the microcosm of the open-endedness of an escape room. But being able to sift out what has value, what does not have value, I think applies not only to traders, it applies to technologists, it applies to quantitative researchers trying to solve novel problems, it applies to everyone here at SIG.
Puzzles are obviously a big part here at SIG. I first came to SIG as an intern, and a lot of the trader education, but that's super game-centered. There's a lot of things about thinking about games and incomplete information that SIG believes is extremely correlated with how they think about the marketplace.
What would I say to a student who knows that they love puzzles but doesn't know what they want to do for a career? I would tell them to push themselves to try this. The similarities that exist between games, puzzles, and the work that we do here is clear. We know that the people at SIG who love puzzles, who love gaming, love a fast-paced environment, thrive here. It's an environment that doesn't suit everyone. But if you love winning, if you love competing, if you love solving complex problems, I think we have great problems for you to solve here.
Wear your love of chess on your sleeve with all new apparel and accessories from the Chess.com merch store. Maybe you simply want a clock that will never run out, or a mouse pad that will finally unlock your speed chess potential. Whether you play chess to get energized with your morning coffee, or play into the wee hours of the night and witness the occasional alien abduction, we've got something for every king, queen, and knight in shining armor. Even gift cards for your loved ones who've caught the chess bug. So check out the Chess.com shop for apparel, accessories, and more. Grab your favorites before they're gone.
Join the community club on Chess.com and participate in amazing community events every week. On Mondays, challenge yourself with incredible openings in Opening Roulette. Don't miss on Title Tuesday every week right after Title Tuesday. On Wednesday, join Arena Kings and compete against a lineup of legendary creators. On Fridays, try the all-new Community Freestyle Fridays and throw opening theory out the window. And finally, round out the week by showing off your speed in the Community Bullet Brawl. Win prizes, battle legends, and challenge yourself. Play in the community tournaments every week on Chess.com.
Hi, I'm Gukesh. I'm the world champion. Who is Gukesh's coach? Right now it's Grzegorz Gajewski. We've been working for a couple of years now. Before that it was GM Vishnu from India. Who is better, Gukesh or Prag? Gukesh. Who is Gukesh currently dating? Like Vishisa said,
who do you go out on dates with? A chessboard?
Where was Gukesh born? I was born and brought up in Chennai. I still live there and yeah, I'm in love with the city. How old is Gukesh? I'm 18 years and like 7 or 8 months, I think, but yeah, a lot of people don't believe it. Did Gukesh drop out of school? Yes, I did. Like fourth. I mean, I stopped going regularly from around 4th grade, and yeah, now I'm just not going to school. So.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to CCL. We have Clemson versus Yale here for you. So this is going to be a really exciting match. Do you have any predictions, Ben?
No, this is the first time we're seeing these two teams. So it should be a fun match, but I'm not very familiar with them. Are you familiar with them at all, Jules?
I haven't seen this division. I think we've had Yale before. But we are yet to see some of these players on our stream, so this is going to be an exciting first time for us, and we're going to take a little bit a look at these player lineups, and I think that will give us more of an insight here. They're a pretty strong team. We have Evan Lee, Luca, Will, Daniel on Yale, seems like an average of around 1900. Then for Clemson, we have Brandon, Christopher, Yatra, and Alan, with also probably an average of a little bit above 1800. So it looks like perhaps the higher rating of the board 1 and 2 on Clemson might provide an advantage. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say Clemson should be a slight favorite. They're slightly outrating board 1 of Yale and also outrating on board number 2. I'm wondering, by the way, I think Lyndon Lee, who's also a Yale student, is the brother of Alice Lee. I wonder if Evan Lee is also part of that family, but maybe Joe can tell us in the chat, or maybe someone can tell us. But at any rate, this should be a fun match, and yeah, we'll see some fun chess.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna see some fun chess. We got word that Yale has 2nd place in the regular season, so they're definitely a team to beat here. And Clemson got 3rd place in the regular season, so a very close matchup between these guys.
Yep. All right. So we see Clemson is that footprint, and Yale are those dogs, right? So yeah, we're gonna be way pretty soon. So okay, if we have a prediction, Jules, who will you be betting your points on?
If we have a prediction, I think I would have to bet my points on Clemson here. I think definitely having the board 1 and board 2 be slightly stronger could be quite an advantage here. But like as we've talked about, since this is both of the teams one of their first times on stream, that could affect the players in ways they really aren't expecting.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting to see how it will affect the players. I mean, some players, it might give them more motivation, more energy, might make them play better. Others, they might get a little nervous. You know, they realize like, hey, thousands of people are watching me. I don't want to mess up, and they mess up. You know, so because of the nerves. So yeah, we'll see how the players will deal with it, but it should be a fun match either way.
I mean, yeah, it definitely can be a little bit nerve-wracking. And Ustino, thank you for subbing for chess with Prime. Appreciate you. I mean, it can definitely be nerve-wracking. I've seen it as well with people playing over the board events or blitz events. Just having a camera on you at all can be a little bit difficult, but these players are going to really bring their best. And I always love looking at divisions like this, where the players are still very, very strong, definitely top percentage on Chess.com, but sometimes it's also more accessible to everyone else as well.
Right, and we have some fun facts about this D9 quarterfinals match. So Yale's captain is board 3 Will Johnson, and he's a PhD student studying robotics, and he went to UPenn. All right, very impressive. Yale, by the way, got second place in the regular season, so they had a bye in the first round. And Clemson got third place in the regular season. They beat the Wits of South Africa in the first round. And Clemson lost in first round of March Madness, like yesterday, to a 12th seed. So yeah, those are some fun facts about these two teams we have right here.
Yeah, you know, it definitely looks like it's going to be a very, very close match. We're going to have a lot of close scores, but the games are beginning here.
Yeah, we are off in the game between Chintalapati and Gurganidze. We see an English opening there, with Black jumping that knight back to the d7 square. So we'll see how this game is going to develop. Should be pretty interesting. White having a big center. Then on board number 3, between Johnson and Shelby, we see a Fry liver attack. And on board number 1, we have an Alpin. And on the last board, a Sicilian with an early b3, bishop b2 from White.
Interesting, and you know, the fried liver might not be the classiest of attacks, but it definitely does the trick, and it can be hard to defend against.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing also with the fried liver is that Black's often down a pawn. Also, that knight on a5 is off. You have an isolated pawn on c6. So White holding a lot of trumps in that game right there.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be a very important round, especially when it's your first time playing on stream. The momentum can be even more important than for some of the other teams that are more used to being on stream.
Yep. All right, so we'll see how this one is going to develop. Yeah, that game on board. All right, so Jules, looking at all these games that are ongoing, is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, it looks like on the purple board, Black is having some issues there defending everything, and now they've made a move they don't want to have to make because they were probably planning on kingside castling, but now they can't. And not only that, all their pieces are kind of stuck in the back row, so that could be a bit of an issue. It seems like we have a lot of early advantages.
Yeah, I mean, that game between Chintalapati and Gurganidze looks pretty interesting. Perhaps we can pull up that game on board number 2, the purple board, where White went for a very early queen g4, hitting that pawn on g7, and Black defended with rook g8. So if we can pull up that game, I mean, that one's looking pretty interesting for sure. I feel like White should have a big advantage, as Black already lost the right to castle.
Yeah, and not only that, all the pieces are stuck there on the back row. It reminds me of a race where no one was able to get off the starting block. It is not what you want. You can give them a few more moves, and perhaps they're able to maybe fianchetto a bishop, get some sort of queenside castle. But it does seem like White is doing a pretty good job of keeping things all crunched up.
Yeah, so knight g2, strengthening the knight on c3. Now he's getting ready for kingside castles. So that's the move I assume we're going to see shortly. And there it is. And also a move like bishop d3 could be very annoying to deal with, as it's not easy at all to protect this pawn. He goes a3 instead, and now Black has a decision to make.
And there is a prediction in the Chess.com chat, and I voted on Clemson. So I'm sorry, Clemson, if you lose, it's the commentator's curse. I can't do anything about it. But my sad 1,000 points that I have left were all bet.
You only have 1,000 points?
I only have 1,000 points. It's really bad, Ben. I've lost all my points.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have
Don't
a
look at me that way.
910K.
Well, aren't you special? Okay. It's rough out here. I've lost a lot of these. But I am not going to lose this one. And as proof, I love that we have the cameras up here, and we also have Yaitra, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, just mad chillin' on the bed. following the Sean perspective there.
Right, I mean, he is challenging. He is already blasting open things in the center. That king on e8 is stuck because black played that move rook to g8. So it's going to be difficult for Luca to get out of this position, but I think he should just take. And if white recaptures with the knight or the bishop, you have this tactic, knight d takes e5, hitting that queen on g4. But you have to take. You cannot move the knight because then white's just going to blast through.
Yeah, and thank you, Joe, for calling it the Jules curse. That is definitely possible. If you want to know who to bet on, guys, I would just bet on whoever I'm not betting on. Yeah, so, but I think I'm going to win this one. I think this is my chance. This is my time to shine. Yeah, it does seem like that was a bit of an odd move, but it's very hard when you're under pressure, as Luca is currently, to find good ways to, I don't know, try to disconnect your pieces a little bit. But perhaps that king can try to slide in to f8 and get somewhat safe, but it just looks like this is a very bad position very quickly.
Yeah, this doesn't look good for black at all. White's having a massive attack, trying to open up the center and get to that black king. e6 right now looks really tempting. Knight ec3, also good move, strengthening the knight on d5. I wonder if knight takes e5 is on black's radar, but here it's probably not good at all because you allow knight f6. So yeah, I really like white's chances here.
Yeah, it definitely looks like white has all the control in this board, which is why we see them just like rested out on the bed, living their best life. It looks like maybe e6 is still an option here, just completely blasting open the king side, and there isn't a lot to do.
Definitely something to consider. I mean, he's got to do something about the knight on d5. You can also trade. That still should give white an excellent position. Queen takes e7 is probably going to have to be played here. And you probably still want to step out of this diagonal. At some point, black is going to have a tactic.
Yeah, I mean, that might be what is saving them right here if they're able to hold on with the tactic. One thing that Luca is doing very well here is he's holding up on, like, he's keeping the time pretty even, which is difficult when you're in a not the best position. But if you can manage to keep the time about even, there are always tactics, as you said. There's always ways around.
Right. And Jules, perhaps we should go to the bird's eye view, as there's a lot of developments. It looks like white's doing well in almost all of the games. White earlier had a big advantage on the first board, but now it's looking almost even. White's doing great on board number 2. White's winning on board number 3 as white's up full bishop. And white's also winning on board number 4 as white's up the exchange. So looking at the evil bars right now, Jules, I'd say it's looking like Yale might take a 1-point lead out of the first round.
It is definitely possible they could take the lead, but it's too soon to see. A lot of these games, especially, you know, at this level, they're still at a high level, but anyone can blunder. I don't know. It's definitely possible that we can see any sort of results. Maybe I'm just copiuming. But we see a win for Johnson, so we see the first point going to Yale here.
Yeah, so Yale taking a 1-point lead. Yeah, things also still looking good for them on board number 3. Yeah, I feel like this could be a close one.
Yeah, this could definitely be a close one. And I think that's one of the reasons that this matchup was meant for this channel. I think it'll be very interesting to watch since, you know, not only are the ratings close, but it seems like the teams have been performing similarly, getting 2nd and 3rd in their regular season.
Right, and we have a blunder on the first board between Rivera, Duran, and Lee. Black just hung the pawn on f5. White can go bishop takes f5. You cannot recapture because the queen is pinning that e6 pawn to the king. Let's see if we can pull up that game. Let's see if we can pull up the game on board 1 between Rivera, Duran, and Evan Lee. As here, bishop takes f5 just wins a full pawn. Again, you cannot take that pawn as pinned. And I feel like then Black's entire position is just collapsing. So bishop takes f5 here is huge. Will he spot it?
You know what? He is taking a lot of his time, which makes me think he does not spot it. And yeah, perhaps he does not. Although there still is the tactic here. Maybe he just wanted something a little ahead of time. But if you don't see it, you don't see it.
Right, he goes bishop takes f6, bishop takes f5 now, but now perhaps Black can still block with knight d5. Maybe he had to take an f6 first. White's doing well, White's up a pawn, but still a lot of work to be done here to try to convert this into a full point.
Absolutely, and it makes sense if you can weaken the king. A lot of times it is worth giving up the bishop pair, not always, but that is a definite possibility. Also, it's a minute and 25 seconds against 45 seconds. So Clemson is going to have to try to keep the time up. Allen is going to try to have to keep his time up. It's just not a big enough of an advantage to make up if he gets a time deficit.
Yeah, knight e5, good move by Evan Lee to defend. All right, so now the bishop on f5 is hanging, or at least potentially, because this is blocked now. So maybe just bishop h3, move the bishop back to safety. But Jules, White's time is concerning. He's down to 30 seconds against a minute and 13.
It definitely is concerning. It looks like we have some lurkers in chat. We have Robby Kevlishvili. Nice to see you here. Glad you're having more fun watching them playing. Always a possibility. And it looks like a tactic that didn't quite work.
He just hung his queen.
Here.
Bishop takes h2. Bishop takes h2, and you lose the queen.
Oh, he's not going to see it, though.
He's
not going to see it. Evan's
not
going
to see it. He's going to see it.
He's not going to see it. No, he's not.
He's going to see it. I mean...
Oh, he sees it. Look at his face. Look at his face. Oh, and he sees it.
Who is the master of predictions here?
Well, we know it's not me. And you saw his face. I think he did a little bit of that emote, you know, like the emote before when you saw it. Oh, and the queen is gone. Alan, you can see his face. He is not happy.
Yep. No, he just hung his queen. Yeah, now he's just down a queen for a rook, so he's going to lose. And, oh wait, Jules, we also have some developments on the last board that is still ongoing. This game right here between, let's see if we can pull this one up, between Daniel and Brandon. I think, by the way, there were just some massive blunders. In this position right here, Black played knight d4. I guess we gave take here, but anyway. The game is still in full swing. And now, oh wait, White's winning now, as there's a lot of threats.
There are a lot of threats, and that's why sometimes just placing your pieces on good squares is always very helpful. But you have a lot of moves. You could do knight f6, you could do knight e7, and either way, you're going to be taking a piece here. You're going to get at least a piece rook for a knight.
Yep. All right. So now a great move for White is queen d6, forcing the queen trade. Your king is still a little bit vulnerable, but if you get those queens off the board, I think there's no real chance for Black to come back. So let's see if Daniel can find that as well. And he finds it. Great move.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Yale needs to be doing, because with the win for Yale here, which we see Daniel Morales wins by resignation. I believe it is 3-1 Clemson. So that is a rough start for Clemson.
It's 3-1 Yale, yeah, so rough start for Clemson. I was going to bet on Clemson, but I mean, they're down now in the match. I think I might just let this one slide for now. It's okay.
I did bet on Clemson, so we'll see
but
how
that means they're going to lose.
Goes here.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Thank you. Yes, most likely. Clemson, I bet on you really just need one win to turn the tides here. But it's 3-1. Yale has 3 points. Clemson has 1 point. And we're going to see in this next round, board 1 versus board 3, board 2 versus board 4, and so on and so forth. So this is Clemson's time to come back if they're going to. Otherwise, I'm not sure. This match could be over in round 3.
Yep. All right. So, yeah, let's see how Clemson will try to fight back. I mean, they were doing pretty well, I felt like, for the most part. But yeah, some tough blunders when they got into time pressure, and Yale was able to capitalize on them. And what's especially a big upset is that Clemson board number 1 losing to the board 4 of Yale, and that's what's making the difference so far.
And it looks like we have the Yale C team captain in the chat, wondering what you think of how your team's doing so far. I don't know. I'm very excited that we have these lower board cameras. We usually don't have cameras for the players in some of these lower divisions here, so it's always fun to see their expressions. And perhaps we'll see it as we start in round 2 here.
Yep. All right, so the games are getting underway. On board number 1, we see a King's Indian between Lee and Chintalapati. On board number 2, a Queen's Gambit Decline between Gurgenitz and Rivera. And the other games are still have to start.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where you need to kind of change the tides. And as you said, Clemson was doing well, but the time management wasn't their best suit this past round.
Yeah. All right, and board number 3 is off as well with the London system by Trash against Johnson. So that game will start off slowly, but things definitely can still explode later. And he's trying to do that with the move H2, H4. Wow.
Yeah, early and aggressive here. The London system gets a reputation of being a little bit slow, but there are definitely ways to speed it up like this.
Yeah, no, that H pawn. I mean, oh wait, wow, H5 by Black. I mean, he didn't have to react like that. I feel like that's only creating weaknesses. We'll see how the game will develop.
I mean, yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of panic there, but there is still a lot of life in that game, although now it looks like perhaps White could have a bit of a stronger attack.
Yeah, I mean, the pawn on H5 is always going to be weak, so I don't quite like it. In the meantime, we see a lot of tension in the game between Lee and Chintalapati on the first board. And board 4 looking approximately even with all of the pieces still on the board.
Should we take a look at board 1, the blue board?
Yeah, no, let's have a look at the game between Linden. Wait, give me a second. We're going to have a look at
Not
that
Linden.
game. Yep. Evan Lee and Chintalapati. All right, so the King's Indian, White plays F2, F4, not allowing Black to go F5 for himself and start storming on the king side. So now Black is thinking, and yeah, we'll see how this one will develop. There's a lot of tension. I guess probably knight takes.
And it's really interesting. I like that we have the timer for each move. It really lets us know where the players are spending their time on, and can they really afford to spend 30 seconds on a move? Probably not here. You know, it is 5+2, and a lot of players think that they can take their time because of it, but that 2-second increment is not something you can rely on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, they can take their time here and there, but you definitely don't want to go for, I don't know, like a 2-minute thing. Then you're definitely burning too much time. But yeah, we see some interesting developments. The knight jumps out to F5, aiming to go to G3. And Jules, we have one of our producers, BJH, saying in the chat, Jules hates the London system, so you can bet on a win from that game. Do you ever get any fights with one of your roommates about the London system?
We do have a lot of London system books here, but I've been slowly trying to convince her that the London system might not be the proper path forward, and she might agree. So perhaps we'll get some changes there. But okay, not all of my predictions are wrong. Okay, BJH, not all of them are wrong. Only most of them. I think the London system is a good opening for blitz, but there are definitely some drawbacks, especially if your opponent knows their theory.
Right. So was there a time that you did win a prediction?
Not that I remember. No.
Well, this could be the first time. Clemson is still in it. They're doing well on this board. So let's see what's going to happen. Knight G3, good move, hitting the rook and the bishop, hitting this as well. I feel like maybe Black can win a pawn here. Let's see what's going to happen.
I think I'm the #1 point donator to the Chess.com community here. My points have gone in the hands of people like you, so do with that what you will. But Clemson still has their shot. I did bet on Clemson for this round, and they still need to come back, but it's definitely possible, and it looks like they're doing well on some of the boards. You know, they just need to bring it back.
Wait, White just hung a full bishop, so Clemson's certainly doing well here. So yeah, I mean, Black still. Oh wait, look at that! And we saw that Evan Lee, his jaw just dropped. He's like, "What? I just hung a bishop." Yeah, he just did, unfortunately. So we'll see if he can fight back. Jules, we should also go to the bird's eye view, as we also have some developments in the other games, as Tretch is getting a big advantage against Johnson on board number 3. So let's go to the bird's eye view. We see that on board 3, the brown board, Tretch can now just take an F8, go up the exchange. So we might see Clemson striking back in this round.
And that is exactly what they choose to do. Yeah, it's true. Clemson could be striking back in this round, and perhaps my channel points could be saved. You never know. You never know. It's always possible. And Clemson does seem to be absolutely dominating this round.
Yeah, no, they could definitely win this one with a big score. I mean, they're winning on board number 1, having an extra bishop. On board number 3, they have an extra exchange. And on board number 4, things are even, but I do like White's chances there.
Yeah, but you have to be a little bit careful sometimes, because just being up in material, especially in blitz, might not be enough. They still have to be able to convert.
Absolutely. Yep. You always got to watch out for tricks. Make sure your opponent doesn't get any unnecessary counterplay. And yeah, of course, it's easier to finish off a winning position in classical than it is in blitz. So we'll see how they'll try to do so.
Okay, we're getting a chat from a producer that says the third board was red, not brown. So apparently me and Ben might be a little bit colorblind here, but they changed it for us.
Right. Yeah, I keep saying Tretch, but it's actually Tragda. Right, I read that wrong. Yeah. All right, well, Tragda is doing well against Johnson. He's up the exchange. And now Selby also doing well on the last board. Maybe now like Queen C5 looks pretty annoying for Black to deal with. That definitely looks tempting for Selby on board number 4 against Morales.
Should we take a look at that board?
Yeah, okay, he went, I think, in the wrong direction with Queen G3. I think it's going to be hard to do anything on the king side. But let's pull up that game between Christopher and Daniel. Let's see, Clemson is down by 2 points. We see Christopher here. He's playing on his balcony.
His backyard, perhaps? Looks like he's playing from a phone, maybe? It's a very close-up camera we have here. But always appreciate that there. He seems to have the best view. Nothing like playing blitz outside where it's sunny, guys.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, so let's see. White is still better. But perhaps now knight d5 to f4 is a nice maneuver for Daniel. Let's see if he's going to go for that. Because I feel like if White gets the time to go... Well, but now Queen f2 or Queen e3 and c5 is pretty weak. Because, oh wow, Rook h7. That's a great move. It's a fantastic move. If takes, g7 is hanging. And you can't properly defend it. So great move by Christopher. I mean, fantastic find.
Yeah, so what happens if you just move Rook g8?
Yeah, already I'm looking at moves like knight takes f6, but I'm not sure if it works. Check here. Although, wait, I mean, it could work. Check here. You give it check. Interesting stuff. If takes, you take here. I mean, that's one possibility. Also, let's say something like Queen h4, and there's a ton of pressure. So things are looking really good here for Christopher to get a point for Clemson.
I love all those arrows. You know it's a lot of calculation when all the arrows are coming through, but also makes sense just to go for kind of a simpler move. You always have that sacrifice a little bit later, but it might be coming. You know, when all your pieces are aligned perfectly like this, I don't know, now you're kind of forcing, I don't know, maybe the queen to go to the back rank to defend.
Yeah, and the queen has to go back to d8, c8, or b8 to defend this rook. Once again, rook takes h7, g takes, just wins for white on the spot. So that's the only way to defend the rook. So Daniel just has to pick a square and go for it. Feels like white should have a win, but if he also gets low on time, that's really where he hurts his own chances. And by the way, Jules...
And now the knight stack is happening, yeah.
Oh yeah, I just want to say Tragda did win this game on board number 3. So we see Yale's lead shrinking to 1 point.
Yeah, Yale's lead shrinking to 1 point. Come back from Clemson. We're seeing stuff. We're seeing stuff. And it's kind of hard to make a sacrifice, but it feels like it's the right time. It feels like that king is not going to feel very secure over there. But sometimes you just want to calculate it all out, and he does have the time. It's 2 minutes versus 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see what he's going to do. I mean, I think knight takes f6 is still good in case it takes. You have queen h4, king takes f5, take here. Queen f2 also good move, hitting this, but black can still defend with knight e7. He takes on h7 now. All right, so pawn takes, rook here. Both queen g3 and taking on c5 either way look good for white, but black is still hanging on for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to hang on when you only have 20 seconds, so you have to move quickly, and this just looks very dominating. You have that beautiful pass pawn. Your rook can never really move. I mean...
Uh-oh. But there goes f5, and then if you take on f5, you go knight h6 after. Daniel fighting back in this game.
I guess you can never speak too soon. It does feel like you're gonna have these pass pawns, this big pawn clump here, and it's gonna be a little bit difficult to defend. But now, perhaps Daniel's fighting back a little bit.
Yeah, but he's down to 11 seconds, and I feel like white's pawns are much faster. Just b5, b6, and b8. I mean, it's a very straightforward plan, very difficult to deal with. I mean, rook c8, just let's say c4, even just push. Maybe just rook a1, strengthen the knight, prepare b6, or c4. I feel like Christopher's got this. I don't see black holding this.
Yeah, and Christopher already looks to be pre-celebrating a little bit. He's outside. Someone's probably going to bring him a lemonade soon. But you still have to be careful. This position just looks great. You're up on time. Just start pushing.
Yep, and there goes the rook. So that should be it. Yeah, that's not a checkmate. So white just have a full rook now, and Christopher is going to win this game. All right, so that's going to tie it up. And Jules, if we go back to the bird's eye view, Clemson is doing great work in this round as Chintalapati just won his game on the top board. So now they're going to be having the lead. Let's see what's going to happen on board 3.
I mean, this is where it's all going to happen in these last couple of boards. But yeah, Yale taking the point. Can Clemson come back? And it looks like they might.
Yep. No, it's all tied up now, 4-4.
All right, all tied up 4-4, which is a big comeback for Clemson, who was down 3 points in the last round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were down 3-1, but now they tied it up. So we'll see what's going to happen in the second half as the matches are now getting closer. So we see here the round 3 results. 3-1 for Clemson, 4-4 in total. And here we have the pairings for round number 3. So board 1 playing board 2 and board 3's playing board 4. So it's going to be interesting, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson, the momentum is with them after coming back a lot in this next round. Perhaps I'm a little biased, but Yale has been doing great so far. They just need to be able to get the momentum back on their side. And we're seeing all these boards, as you said, playing more of their corresponding board here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, the momentum is definitely in Clemson's favor. They just won the last round with a big score. But it's still only tied up, right? So we'll see what's going to happen in round number 3 as the players are getting ready.
Yeah, we will see as the players are getting ready here for this next round. But I don't know. That was a huge comeback by Clemson. Did you expect that?
I mean, I'm not shocked because I felt like they were the slight favorite going into the match. And I feel like anything can happen between these two teams because they're pretty evenly matched. But, it's a strong comeback. I mean, they lost their first round 3-1 and they showed character and struck back.
Absolutely. It's really easy to let the momentum, ride with you and to keep losing points. But Clemson was able to come back. We'll see if they're able to keep up the momentum in this next round as everything is off to a pretty normal start here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so on the first board we see a knight off with white going for a very quick bishop g5 and bishop c4. So we might see some sacrifices there. Then on the second board we see Trek going for a London system again against Gurgenidze, And board 3, we have a French between Johnson and Rivera. So it should be a fun round.
Yeah, we should see some fireworks here. It's always fun looking at some of these divisions and seeing the kind of chess that we'll get on the board. It looks like we have some sort of like symmetrical structure in board 4.
Right. Okay, so we'll see what's going to happen. Oh, wow, and look at that. On board number 1, Selby sacrificed his bishop on e6. I mean, that's often what you do if you move the bishop to c4 and b3. It's just waiting for the right moment to sacrifice itself. So let's go to that game, as we're definitely seeing some fireworks right there. I mean, great stuff. So what Black's probably going to have to take, you recapture with the knight, you attack the queen, and then you also get a third pawn taking on g7, and then I can always jump back to f5. So I like the sacrifice a lot by Christopher.
And look at Evan Lee's face. He's a little bit confused by it. Obviously was not expecting it, but the more you look at it, the more disturbing it becomes, which we can, again, see on his face.
All right, so yeah, let's see how... yeah, Evan Lee definitely a little bit thrown off, but I think you have to take that bishop. Otherwise, you just lose a pawn for free. He just has to take, even though it looks tough.
And he chooses not to take.
All right, now White has a lot of good options. I mean, dropping the bishop back is good. Also, like, there's moves like 95 to consider. So let's see what Christopher will do.
Yeah, and he's definitely taking his time. He probably wasn't expecting him not to take. But at the same time, this has got to be just a positive. You've gotten what you want, and you didn't have to give anything up for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, bishop d5. All right, Jules, by the way, there's also some big developments in another game as... Yeah, let's go with the bird's eye view, because in one game, White is already winning. So we see Selby doing well on board number 1 for Clemson, but on board 3, Yale is fighting back. Look at that knight on d6 for Johnson. I mean, that's a thorn in Black's side. We might see a crushing victory for White there.
Ben, how did that knight get there? How did it transport to that beautiful square?
Well, probably from c3 to b5 to d6. Queen h5 also good move. I don't see a good... I mean, I guess you have to go g6. But it feels like there's got to be something there for White.
Yeah, it seems like the attack is just very strong here.
Yeah. I think g6 is forced, because if you go queen e7, you hang the bishop on c8. g6, you allow the queen to slide in. King g8, and I don't see the immediate knockout just yet.
Yeah, but that rook can lift at any time. I don't know. It looks like a really, really difficult position for Alan here, which is probably why he's taking his time to try to think a way out of it.
Yeah, he's taking his time, but again, I think g6 is forced. I don't see another move. White could also decide to slide that queen back to f3, lining up... Oh, by the way, that's really good move, queen f3, because it threatens knight takes e6, but also knight takes g6 is on the cards because both the pawns are pinned. So I think Will has a great opportunity here to get a point for his team.
And we see it. Maybe queen f3, as you suggested, will be the move that he makes. It does seem tempting to give that check on h6 and just take control, but I really love that move you suggested with queen f3.
Right. Okay, so let's see what he's going to do. He's taking his time. Queen h6 and queen f3 are quite tempting. All right, so let's see what Will's going to do.
All right, we'll take a look at that. Oh, I mean, all the tactics are just unwinding, and I'm surprised Alan isn't just knocked out already, but he still has some moves to keep in it. There's just zero counterplay. This is why it's really important to develop your pieces, because he doesn't even have an attack. White's king is out in the center, and there's nothing that Alan can do about it.
I think you have to take the knight. If you don't take the knight, White's having a crushing attack and the extra material. I guess he's worried about queen f3 check, but there's still knight f6, so he just has to take.
I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it, but he is taking his time trying to figure it out, and you see Will getting a little impatient there. He knows he has the tactics, he knows he has the moves, and he's just waiting to see how his opponent will respond.
All right, so f6 g6 on the board. All right, so queen f3, knight f6 only move. Yeah, knight f6 only move. Otherwise, just checkmate. Only move. Nothing to think about.
I mean, it's not the move you want to make, but it's what you have to do there. And we see it. It's almost like a consolation. I'm surprised he isn't resigning, although that is the correct thing to do, is not to resign there. But yeah, it's just a difficult move to have to make.
Yeah, okay, knight x8, good move by white. Okay, if you take on c8, queen takes f6 is there. There's still king g8, which looks scary, but I think you have to, otherwise you're going to lose this knight. Like if you play a move like knight c6, I think white moves the knight back, and then they will pick up the knight later. Well, actually, as I say that, maybe like knight c6, and then knight takes d4. Take, knight takes c2, knight takes a1. Maybe that's also something to consider.
Yeah, and he's fighting on, doing exactly what he should be doing. Sometimes we see people resigning a little bit too early, but this game isn't over.
Yeah, queen takes f6 is a good move here, or knight e6 first. Let's see what he will come up with. Looking pretty good for Will. All right, the knight's under attack, so I assume knight d6 and probably just take the pawn on b7.
And he's just taking his time here, thinking he's up on time. So he's up a minute on the clock. Love this angle we're getting here as well. Looks like he's about to go golfing after this. I do know a lot of people have their finals and midterms coming up soon, or coming up actually very, very soon or now. So, you know, these players might be going to some tests or studying for some tests after these rounds.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's great that they were able to take some time out of their Friday afternoon and play some good chess. But yeah, it looks like Will should be winning this game. He's up a piece. So Jules, perhaps we should go back to the bird's eye view, as there's a lot of developments. On board number 1, it looks like Lee is crushing it against Selby. And then we Black's doing great there with a big attack with that queen on a2. Track against Gurganitsa. That's an interesting game, as Black is way down on clock.
Yeah, it's always the most interesting when they're up on position but down on clock. Will they be able to do it? Will they be able to pull through? But looks like Yale could get some extra points this round.
Right, so let's see what Brandon's going to do here. He is down a couple pawns, but he's got a big time advantage. So he has to try to put that to work. I think practically, the computer might not agree with it, but I think practically a good decision to keep the queens on.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense when your opponent's down on time to try to keep the queens on. Also, it is also very, very interesting when your opponents are up on position, down on time. It's hard to hold on to that lead.
Absolutely. Now white could take on e3 and on g5, winning back one pawn and then another pawn. So that would even out the position for Brandon. Let's see if he's going to go for that. It would trade out the queens, though.
Oh, and someone in chat, let's see who this is. Double B says Clemson's on spring break. Perhaps that's why we see some of the players playing from their homes or, you know, outside soaking up the sun. And maybe that helps them become a little relaxed. But hey, let's take a look here.
Rook e8, that is not the move. Knight takes g5, and I think Black is losing almost every single piece on the board. After takes, you're in check. Knight e7, only move, he finds it. But this looks bad. Now Black is in a bunch of pins.
Yeah, but it does survive. It's a move that does survive. I mean, you could just take the rook.
Wins material. Yeah, take an e8 and take an e3, and you go up and exchange in the endgame.
I mean, it's a little bit scary to play that when you're at 15 seconds, because you're just looking for the quick mate. But, oh, he's up a minute. Okay, wait, no, he should totally play that. Okay, well...
Queen takes g7, also good move, keeping all of the tension. Queen e4 hitting the rook, perhaps just rook d1 hitting that d4 pawn.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, keeping the queens on the board when you're up on time and you can be up on material is a bit of a questionable decision, but at the same time, he's depending on his opponent blundering, and it's very possible when you're down a whole minute.
Yeah, bishop c8 played with 7 seconds on the clock. Bishop b5, okay, bishop d7 back. He's holding on for now. Good defense. Not easy for Brandon to break through here.
No, it's not super easy for Brandon to break through here. He also has almost 400 points on his opponent, but Luca's fighting pretty well.
Yep. Okay, so c5. All right, it's giving a double question mark, but look, makes sense. Hang on to that pawn. h3 apparently was not it. That's a free queen. Yeah, you can recapture.
All right. And the issue is that knight is pinned there, and so it's not a queen trade, it is just a free queen. And we see Tregda winning the game, but a good fight from Luca there. There are 2 more games remaining here in this round.
Yep. All right, so on board number 3, Johnson just won his game against Rivera Duran. And then on board number 4, we see that Jay is winning against Morales in a queen game, but there's still work to be done. So I think we should go to that game.
Yeah, let's take a look here.
Okay, king c2 is GG here because you can't stop the d pawn. King d3, like still winning. Okay, now how do you get out of the checks?
Well, he has 2 minutes to figure it out. It seems like the time management has been really interesting in these rounds, but if it were the other way around, perhaps it would be harder to get out of the checks, but you still have to be pretty careful.
Right, okay, so check. Okay, I guess king e2, queen e3. Queen e3 looks pretty good. Check. And king somewhere. King f2. King f2 looks pretty good because then you also threaten checkmate with queen g3.
And now with 11 seconds, trying to figure out where you can place your queen to create the most issues. You could try to pin it, which is what he does with queen b2. But as you pointed out, there is the mate on the board, and Jay has won that game for his team.
Yep. All right, so great game by Jay. And Jules, we're still tied 6-6. We might see another match going to overtime.
It's crazy how close these teams are in skill level. It just shows, but this is a tie going into the final round. I don't know. Do you have any predictions?
I predict we're going to go to overtime.
You predict we're going to go to overtime?
Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely possible. Yeah, it's definitely
we might
possible.
be here for a while.
By the way, everyone's favorite weekly event, Title Tuesday, just got doubly exciting with more and more title players joining the likes of Hikaru, Magnus, and Jose Martinez in the weekly Blitz tournament. We've decided to double the prize pot for the first Title Tuesday that reaches 1,000 players, which means players who finish in the top 30 will earn a cash prize. Will it happen next week? Use !2x in chat or visit go.chess.com/double for all the details. And I think that's going to be pretty exciting. I love watching Title Tuesday. I love watching CCL. And it's really lucky that we have all these events going on every week.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, we'll see if we will reach that 1,000 players at some point.
Yeah, and I think we will. I know they've come pretty close from what I've seen. But here we're going to have the board 1 facing board 1, board 2 facing the board 2, and so on and so forth. So everyone is going to be playing someone pretty close to their level.
Yep. All right, so everyone is going to be playing their corresponding board. Should be some pretty interesting pairings right here. I feel like Clemson should still be the favorite. I mean, they have a 200 rating point advantage on board number 2, and Yale doesn't have such a big rating advantage on any board, so I'm still going to give the slight edge to Clemson.
I mean, it's definitely possible, except I betted that they would win, so we'll do with that what we can. But I don't know, these players, these teams have been really, really close. We could definitely see a tiebreak, Ben.
Yep. All right. Okay, so let's see what is going to happen. So on board number 1, Between Lee and Trek, we see a King's Indian with Bishop d3 and Knight g2. Interesting setup right there. Yeah, the other games still have to get underway.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very, very crucial round. Everyone knows that even a half point where they could have gone a win could be the decider for their team. Like we saw it on Robbie's face last time. It can be really tough to be in this last round and to maybe lose a half point where you shouldn't have.
Yep. All right, so let's see. On board number 2, in the game between Gurganitsa and Selby, we see a bit of a mix between it's kind of a London system, but you also have that pawn on c4. Then on board number 3, we see Jay opening over the English opening against Johnson. And we're still waiting for board 4 to get underway, but there we have it with e45. And a Petrov.
A Petrov. You don't see that very often anymore. And I play the same line going into the Scotch. 4 knights Scotch, which tends to be a little bit drier, but in Blitz, anything can happen.
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna play the 4 knights anyway, it might make sense to also do that against the Petrov, right? So there's less you have to study.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good way to kind of get out of typical Petrov theory. Okay, looking here at this game of Evan Lee versus Brandon. I love that Brandon is matching his sheets right now. We're really color coordinated. Actually, both players are very color coordinated right now.
Yes, because Evan's shirt is the color of that door. Wonder where he's playing from. Maybe he's just making sure that nobody walks through that door, you know?
Well, nobody's gonna walk through that door. And if they do, they're gonna probably hit him out of the way. So I hope it is in fact locked. But we have both of our players here, and they're getting off to kind of a aggressive start.
Yeah, no, Brandon playing f5, trying to do some things on the king side and in the center. I feel like Evan at some point should certainly castle king side. I think if you wait too long, it's something bad is going to happen, like queen h4 or something along those lines is going to come. Perhaps at some point Brandon can also go a5, which you'll probably have to meet with a3. Then Black can wait until the right moment to take, but we see Evan, he takes an f5 right away. Wow.
And he is the strongest player, I believe, in this match, Brandon here. So, I don't know. He'll have to try to use that to his advantage to get Clemson a point.
Right. Okay, so g takes f5 looks pretty logical here. Oh, but Jules, we have some pretty big developments in some of the other games. So let's see if we can go back to the bird's eye view. As there's a pretty big development. On board number 3, Jay just won a crucial pawn, and now he's got a great position. He's up a pawn, bishop pair. So that's a board where Clemson is doing well. Clemson also doing well on board number 2. Selby there with the bishop pair. I like his position as well. So, hey, you might win some channel points here, Jules.
It's definitely possible, and it would be the first time a nice pre-birthday surprise there. But I see, let's see, a nice outpost on that brown board there. It looks like Clemson's doing fairly well in pretty much all of the boards.
Yeah, no, they are. Trek doing well on board number 1. Selby doing well on board number 2. Jay doing very well on board number 3. He's up a pawn. Maybe he can even win a second pawn. That a5 pawn is weak. And Rivera is better on board number 4, so they might sweep this round. I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't see how they don't win the match.
Yeah, I mean, they only need 2.5 more points to get the victory, either side. So it just takes a little bit of a push, a little bit more than an equal score, and Clemson can take home the victory. But also, the games have just started, and Yale can earn some comebacks.
Yep, no, it's far from over. Still a lot of work to be done. Trek, by the way, on the first board won a crucial pawn. So that's definitely going to help him as well to try to win that game. Yeah, so right now I'd say Clemson is doing especially well on boards 1 and 3. I think they'll definitely pick up a win or two in those 2 games.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think probably the most life is on the second board and the fourth board. But here we see Tregda doing well, up a pawn. There is that open file, that open G file that perhaps Tregde could even take advantage of, scooch his king over, and have some attack going.
Okay, he goes knight h4, but now I can take on f5, restoring the material balance. So, yeah, Evan just has to take with the bishop or the rook. He takes with the rook, but that runs the knight f6 with tempo, which looks like a nice move for black. Hitting the rook, setting up knight g4, which would hit h2, threaten knight f2, and Brandon finds it.
And how do you respond? I mean, you could try to go like g3 in between, but I don't really think it solves your issues. You're still going to have to deal with that knight coming in.
Yeah, in case of g3, I think you just slide the queen back to h6, and then, like you said, you're still going to follow with knight g4, threatening all sorts of stuff, hitting h2, threatening f2. So looks tough for Evan.
Yeah, that's probably why Evan is taking his time. He's thinking, but he can't take too much time because it's 1 minute and 30 seconds versus 3 minutes. That is not a position you want to be in.
No. Yeah, and this looks tough. On the board and on the clock, he goes rook f1, but knight g4, I think it's just gg. I mean, how do you I guess h3, you're going to have to give the exchange, but I mean, knight g4 is just screaming to be played.
Let's see if he sees it. Knight g4. He's definitely taking his time. He's thinking, I think he's going to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you don't play it. And there we have a knight g4 on the board. h3, only move to keep the game somewhat going. Any other move just loses either the queen or you get checkmated. But yeah, after knight f2, take stakes. I mean, black's also threatening this. I mean, this is going to be a win for Brandon.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a win for Brandon there. Should we go to bird's eye view to see what's happening in the rest of the boards?
Yeah, it looks like Clemson is crushing it in the final round. I mean, Brandon is winning on the first board. On board number 2, Selby also doing really well with the bishop pair. On board 3, that game is also practically over. Jay up a full piece in an endgame, a bishop and a pawn, actually. And Rivera a little bit better with the white pieces, so we could very well see a sweep.
Yeah, it is very possible. And I mean, that's what we were talking about. Momentum is super important. Probably the board that has the most chance of going either way is the green board. So we should take a look at that one.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to that game between Rivera, Duran, and Morales. White having a slight advantage there, and also up on time. But still, a black win can certainly happen. And yeah, Yale needs a miracle, right? And this miracle could start right here if black would win.
Yeah, Yale does need a miracle. Yale needs this victory. It's very, very important for them to be able to get a point on this board. But I don't know, 58 seconds to 2 minutes, 53 seconds, that is a 2-minute advantage. And that's something we've been seeing a lot on these boards are such huge time differences.
Yeah, no, the pressure is on black, especially on the clock. I mean, the board is approximately even, symmetrical structure, both players having their pieces nice and active. But 40 seconds against 250 is definitely not in black's favor. 95 maybe here?
Yeah, knight d5 is interesting. You're going to get rid of the bishop pair. The queen doesn't really have a great place to go. And he plays it. Probably queen e1, tucking it back so you don't have to ruin your pawn structure.
Yeah, bishop takes b6 is also a move that, bishop takes c5, sorry, is also a move that can be considered. But things get very sharp. I mean, first of all, there's knight takes c3, bishop takes b6. If takes here, you take here. Take, and white will be up a pawn. But I'd assume that after bishop takes c5, maybe there's like queen c7. Hitting the queen, hitting the bishop. White's going to have to play someone like queen d4, which doesn't look right. So White's certainly spending some time on that, I assume.
Yeah, and that's where it's useful for Alan to have a little bit of extra time. And he's certainly using it here. Moving the queen back a little, and now you just probably want to take with the queen to not ruin your pawn structure. I don't know, you don't have the bishop pair anymore, but you're not doing terribly here.
No, I mean, black, I don't like that move. I mean, it pushes the knight back, but it feels like that weakens the black position, maybe just like knight d2 or knight g5. Then move f5 looks way too loose. And that's also going to make it harder for black to navigate with 23 seconds on the clock.
It is difficult to navigate with 23 seconds on the clock. You're absolutely right there. I don't think the knight needed to tuck back over there because there were a lot of tactical reasons that knight could run free. But now it feels a little bit crunched for Alan, although Daniel might not be able to take advantage of this positionally just because he has so little time.
Yep. Oh, there's, by the way, a nice tactic. If you go bishop c4, king h8, and then knight f4, you're setting up for knight g6 takes and queen h3 check. Black could very easily fall into that. So I like bishop c4, knight f4. Just play for the cheese.
Play for the cheese. And Clemson only needs another point and a half to take home the match victory. So this is crucial.
Yep. All right. Clemson very close to match victory. They won on board number 2. They're completely winning on board number 1 and on board 3 as well. Yeah, this match is about to be over, actually.
Yeah, this could be a clean sweep for Clemson if they're able to win this. But Daniel's fighting back. He is not up on time, but he's able to even the time a little bit. So now there's only a 30-second advantage, and the position's still complicated.
Right, Clemson actually just won on board number 3, so they reach 8 points. And with that, they have pretty much won the match, because if we can, they have actually just officially won the match 9-6. So this game is only for statistics, whatever you want to call it, because the match has just gone to Clemson.
Yeah, but they don't know that. So they're going to be fighting for their life here. Oh.
Queen f7.
And Alan has queen f7.
Queen f7.
And you take the rook.
You pick up everything. Yeah. Queen f7. You just play bishop c4. And there we have it. Good move.
Okay. All right. And you can take f6, e8. You could take anything.
Yep. I would take the rook. I mean, why not? That's more material. Because yeah, you can also take an f6 because rook e1 is not checkmate. Yep, because you can still block on f1 with the bishop or the knight.
Yeah. It's not checkmate, but you still had to try. You still had to try it.
Just don't play queen e7. Don't do it. He's gonna see, right, that square is covered.
Yeah, I think he was gonna. I think he was gonna see it, and still fighting. We still see Daniel fighting for his team. I mean, the queen can just probably scooch to d8 because then you're threatening some sort of check tactic where you can take the bishop. That also works. Same threat. I mean, Daniel might not see it with 7 seconds on his clock.
Yeah, queen c7, bishop takes f5. Also a good move, picking up the pawn, or that even better, picking up the bishop. Feels like this one is about to be over. So with that, Jules, Clemson is actually sweeping this final round.
Hey, and I might have won my first prediction. Now it's time to see if I actually put in the prediction correctly, because I can barely believe it, But Clemson has taken home the match victory, just finishing it up here and now. But yeah, what a nice turnaround after being down 3 points the first round.
Yeah, they were down 3-1 after the first round, which is actually why I didn't put my channel points on them. I mean, if that would not have happened, I definitely would have. But yeah, great stuff by them, sweeping the final round and winning with a convincing score of 10-6.
And did you see Alan's reaction there? That was very, very funny. Celebrating, and also Clemson has a lot of reasons to celebrate, as they have just brought home this match.
Yep. All right,
and
so
as
we see it here,
final
just
score.
10-6. Yeah, it was pretty close throughout, but what a sweep in the final round.
Absolutely. It was dead even. Clemson managed to come back in the second round. It was all tied up till the third round, and then Clemson pulls ahead with a full sweep, really bringing it home. So that was huge for them. A big congratulations to Clemson there.
Yeah, no, great stuff. And they move on to the next round. So yeah, the teams in Division 9 have their work cut out for them, because this Clemson team is looking pretty strong.
Yeah, they definitely looking very strong. I mean, that first start wasn't the best for them, but it just shows that you can't let the momentum hurt you. You have to keep fighting. And, they're a very strong team.
Absolutely. So it's not going to be easy for anyone in their division to stop them.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for anyone in their division to stop them, and they're going to be going on to the final. We are going to have an interview with Jay, so put any questions you might have in chat. Stick with us. We'll be here right after the break.
My name is Fabiano Caruana, and this is Google Autocomplete. What is Fabiano Caruana's favorite chess opening? Oh, I'll have to say the Archangel variation of the Ruy Lopez, which I made a video course on, and it's always been a favorite since I was a child. What does Fabiano Caruana do with C-squared? That's the podcast that I co-host along with Grandmaster Christian Kirilla. We've been doing it for about 2.5 years, and it's been fun. You know, it's the first time that I went into not just playing chess, but also talking about chess. So that was pretty cool. What is Fabiano Caruana's IQ? I have no idea what my IQ is. I don't know. I've never taken a test, as far as I know. I have no idea.
What would be your guess?
I don't even want to guess or know. Either whatever it is, I have no interest in knowing it. Has Fabiano Caruana ever won a world championship? I have not won a world championship. I've played a world championship, but I didn't win it against Magnus in 2018. That was the one time that I played the world championship. What was Fabiano Caruana's career highlight? I think this is similar to the last question. My career highlight was winning the candidates in 2018. And that qualified me for the World Championship. So that was probably the most, the happiest I was after playing a tournament, and the most difficult tournament, and probably the proudest success that I have. How tall is Fabiano Caruana? I think 169 centimeters. I guess that's either 5'6" or 5'7", 169 centimeters. Did Fabiano Caruana go to college? I didn't go to college. I never went to college. I never went to high school. I went to school until I was 12 and then I stopped. I was done with it after that. Is Fabiano Caruana Italian? I have a lot of Italian heritage. I am an Italian citizen. My mother's Italian. I never grew up in Italy. I never lived in Italy, but I have a lot of family there. So I spent a lot of time as a kid visiting them, spending time with my family, and also from my father's side as well. He has a lot of Italian ancestry, and all my grandparents were born in Italy. So from a heritage point of view, I'm very Italian, and also I'm an Italian citizen, but I haven't ever lived there. And although I did represent Italy for many years now, I represent the United States playing chess.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any Chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan, Diamond, Platinum, or Gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to CCL. We have Jay with us right here. So congratulations. Congratulations. I want to ask, were you a little nervous with the start of the round?
Well, not. If I was, I got very lucky. They played the opening that I'm the best at, which is the McCanis floor, so having studied that a lot, I got lucky.
Yeah, congratulations, Jay, on winning this match and advancing in Division 9. How do you feel about your chances of winning the division?
I mean, we're having an off year, but it's the same 4 players. We made it undefeated to finals in this same division last semester, so I imagine now that it's playoffs, we'll take it a bit more seriously and probably do about the same.
And I see a question from chat. Where's your favorite place to play chess on campus?
On campus, it would just be the chess club room that we have. It's in Brackett Hall. We go there every Wednesday this semester. It's fun, make some jokes, have some laughs.
Nice. And someone is asking, did you watch your team in March Madness?
Okay, we don't need to talk about that right now. You guys just had to pull it out when we got killed yesterday. Like, give us some time to grieve a little bit, guys. Come on.
Then you're not going to like the follow-up question. If the basketball team could learn how to clutch out the fourth quarter from the chess team.
Absolutely not. They're good. Our team is made up of 2 people who are retired, including me. I just play for fun. No.
Right. Speaking of that, one of our viewers, Mick Tall, is asking, at which age did you start playing chess and who was your first opponent?
My dad, about 4 years old. That's when he introduced it to me. I got a chess coach, really great chess coach by the name of Matthew Noble. He's a national master. He was in Charlotte for many years, and yeah, I was learning from him for a better part of a decade before I gave chess up, relatively speaking.
And a question for you. Do you like to play Chess 962 or any other variants, or are you just strictly a blitz player?
I'll play whatever's put in front of me. It's just most of my chess games come from our weekly meetings at the chess club. If we decide to play Bug House, we love playing Bug House, Crazy House, 960 on occasion. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just have one final question. I was wondering, so the match was pretty close, but you guys swept the last round, winning 4-0. What was going through your mind as you warmed up for that final round?
I figured if I won, we'd probably have a good shot. So, it's ironic. Our top boards do better against top boards than they do against lower ranked boards, which makes 0 sense to me. But, just figured I had to do my job.
Well, it definitely happens. Like, congratulations again, and thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Everyone, as we see, we have the playoffs bracket for the Division 1. It's going to be St. Louis versus either Mizzou or Lviv, depending on what happens in the next match. I don't know. I think this is going to be really exciting regardless.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, but I'm definitely giving the advantage to Mizzou. I mean, a bit surprising to me that Lviv made it this far. Somewhat surprisingly, they beat SRM, but Mizzou is a powerhouse, so I expect a rematch between SLU and Mizzou in the final.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see something very interesting, but I don't know. We might also see Lviv coming in for the finals. The third place match is going to be very interesting. Before we go, we want to talk a little bit about the CAP standings here, brought to us by our sponsor, Susquehanna. So these are the top ambassador schools online members. As you see, University of Benin has 2,954 all-time members, so they are currently at first. There are 49,356 total online club members across all ambassador-affiliated schools. So just huge numbers here. It's really impressive, Ben.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to see it. As so many schools are bringing in new players, and it's just great to see collegiate chess growing and growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you all are not going to want to miss next week. So stick with us for CCL. Thank you so much for joining us today.